Hey guys, Darth Gloric here, back with part 5 of our Everlasting Summer playthrough. So, last time, we got 2 endings. First ending we got was a bad ending when Semyon died. So, you know, that was less than ideal. I mean, well, to be fair, if anyone was gonna die, I would have preferred Semyon, so in some ways it wasn't the worst thing. But then, we got the second ending we got was the Semyon Good Ending, where he ends up completely alone. And he ends up back in his apartment, and whatever, he's lonely for life, and, you know, I guess that's supposedly the good ending for him, but that seems pretty lousy to me. Anyway, so we got 2 endings. In this episode, our goal here is to get every other good ending. Now, there are a bad ending for pretty much every character. We will probably be skipping those because I have no desire to see everyone get a bad ending. And so our goal is to get a good ending for everybody. Now, the good news is, again, you guys can't see it, but in front of me, I have a guide. And this person, whoever they are, you are amazing, I love you. And they made a super awesome, big, comprehensive guide on how to get every ending. Very simple to follow, very easy. Now, the good news is, when you hold Control, I can fast forward through the dialogue we've already seen. So that's good, because that's how we're actually going to have time to do all this in one episode. Now, the goal is to do this all in one episode, but of course we will see. Now, the only thing I don't understand in the guide is so here's how it's broken down. It'll say, for instance, day 1, and then it'll say reply. So that's basically what you're supposed to say. And then, you know, day 2, go get the cards with Slavya, that type of thing, right? But then next to everything, there is sometimes the parentheses +1, and then next to everything there is another number, and then there's another parenthesis, and then in some cases it's 1, 2, 3, and it slowly counts up to 10. I don't know what those are for. I kind of assume the numbers where it's slowly counting up to 10, and maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I don't know what it's for. I don't know what those numbers mean, and I can't find any explanation. So we're just gonna kind of ignore them, and we're just gonna kind of go through and we'll pay attention to the dialogue choices, but we're gonna ignore all the numbers, and I'll pretend I don't see them because I don't know what they mean, and I'm worried I'm gonna do something wrong. But here's hoping I don't do that. So, okay, so the other thing we're gonna have to look up, it's some of the people's requirements is to win that card tournament. And obviously I have no idea how to play it. Now luckily we got crushed the first time, so we lost, which is actually good because for some requirements you do have to lose. And so, yeah, for some of them you have to lose. So our first ending we're going for is called Comfy Guy. It is the Slavya Good Ending. And so of course we're aiming for Slavya, which is okay because Slavya is the waifu for Laifu. And so that's how we're going through. So, of course, we are starting with her, and I have a list. So the first thing we're going to is day 1, reply. Okay, and we're going to be using the save states, basically at every different dialogue choice. I'll probably save it. Now, I'm probably just going to save over 1 save. So that way, in case I do something wrong, I can go back like one basically quote-unquote checkpoint, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the plan. And I think it was Control, right? Yeah. I don't think any of these matter for this one, so we'll just say, yeah, I'll come with you. Because for Slavya, nothing's listed. See how nice this is when you can just fast forward through all this? Okay, now this one, obviously, you're supposed to reply. I already knew that. And I think that's it for day 1 for her. Look how awesome this is. Look how much time we can save. Again, this is not listed, so I don't think it matters. Yeah, see, the next thing we're looking for Slavya is day 2. So nothing matters, so we're just gonna run after him. Day 2. We're not gonna attempt to take it. Again, nothing matters. Wait for it. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, does it matter for keys? It doesn't list keys. Bus stop tournament. Do not bet with Alyssa. Let's see. I'm gonna run down the list here. Does it ever mention about giving her the keys? Do nothing, just say seated. Thanks for the girls' help. Go with Slavia. Canteen. Let's see. Have nothing to justify myself for. I want to go get something with Slavia. I'm not seeing anything mentioning keys, so maybe it doesn't make a difference. Okay, well maybe it doesn't make a difference because I'm not seeing any kind of key related thing, so maybe it doesn't matter, so I guess we will take them. Alright. Praise the book. Again, nothing matters. We're going for Slavya here. All right, well, now we are officially in day 2 now. So now day 2, our next one is go get the cards with Slavya. All right, looking for cards. Oh, hey, you probably guys just noticed that's that CG scene that you guys would have missed before. All right, so now we can save it. We're just gonna save it over the first one because, of course, will be our Slavya. This will be our Slavya one. Okay, what are we looking for? Go get the cards with Slavya. Okay, so maybe it doesn't matter. Infirmary. I have no idea. Library. We're just blowing through all this stuff. Music club. Sorry about that, Miku. All right, fast forward through all this. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We're looking for cards with. All right, go get the cards with Slavya. That's one we need. Now, we obviously did that before, so we can keep fast forwarding. All right, now I think we're not supposed to make the bet, right? Yeah, do not bet with Alyssa. All right, we are gonna save this one because we're actually almost at the tournament here. And that is, yeah, do not bet with Alyssa. Obviously. Okay. I'm assuming this is the tutorial for the cards. Alright, well, let's actually give this a save right here. Okay, give it a save. We'll just say skip it because all we have to do is get destroyed anyway. Ah, well, I think we can just skip it, right? Because if we're supposed to lose, then that is the route we want, right? Aren't we supposed to lose? Yeah, lose the tournament, and then we're supposed to go to the bus stop. Yep. So yeah, lose. So that's easy. Okay. Bus stop. There we go. So now so this is a new one. Okay, the events of the day kept flashing brightly in my head. These damn useless checklists, this stupid tournament. Right now, I don't want to do a single thing or talk to anyone. I don't even want to start thinking about my current situation. I came to the square and took a seat on the bench while staring at the Genda statue. I don't know how long I was sitting like this, but finally, crickets chirping brought me back to reality. I got up and blindly walked in a random direction. The bus stop. Somehow, for the second day in a row, I find myself in this place. Maybe subconsciously, I felt that the bus will be waiting for me here to take back to the real world. Very unlikely. On the other hand, why not? It got dark already. I was just standing there and gazing at the night sky. Astronomy had never attracted me so much as astronautics. It always has been more interesting to look at the pictures of far constellation, nebula, and galaxies made by artists than to try and figure out how to measure angular velocities and masses of stars. But certainly I would be able to find the Great Bear constellation. But if I got lost in Snow Forest, my only way to find the way out would be that little knowledge about moss growing on the north side of the tree. Too bad for you, that is complete lies. However, I still don't know that would help me out. It won't help you get out because it's a myth. I was about to head back to the camp when all of a sudden I caught a noise behind the gates. Who is it this time? Near the clubhouse, it seemed like somebody was walking down the path to the forest. It was so dark that I could see nothing but a blurred shadow. I wondered who could be out so late at night. A pioneer breaching discipline? Tisk tisk. Or maybe it's like, there we go. I followed the mysterious shadow rapidly but still carefully. I was moving from path to path, and after a while I found myself in the depths of the forest, finally losing sight of the stranger. Maybe I should turn back? The trees parted before me, and a magnificent view of a small forest lake struck my eyes. Hey! Cool! Alright, you guys can enjoy this scene for a minute. Okay, so this is kind of a rock star when I first wake up kind of day. Because I feel like I got hit by a bus sometime late last night, so I feel super like groggy, like my head feels like it's, I don't know. I just feel, I don't know what the word is. I feel haggard. I feel super haggard. So I think it must have been a rough night or something. So it's a rock star in the morning kind of day. Okay. And then I noticed Slavya. She's so pretty, dude. She was skipping and fluttering about, letting her neckerchief loose and her shirt fly up in the air. This whole scene seemed even more fantastic than my own presence in this camp. Slavya looked like a spirit of the forest, or perhaps a nymph. She does actually. I can actually kind of, my head can see it. It's head canon. I can see that. All right. Anyway, sorry. She looks so natural, more like an ancient goddess than a human being. I believe that too. I remembered all of the theological theories which I read some time ago. This reminds me of pantheism, the idea that God is in all that is everything that we'll see around. What if it were not the aliens or a Time Warp, but divine providence that brought me here? Indeed, Slavya mentioned that she loves nature, so it turns out that even she is an enigma, isn't she? But then all her remaining clothes slipped to the ground and... Whoa! Slavya went to the water. I wonder if I can show that. Naked. I probably can. I mean, up to this point, I probably can, I think. I was ashamed, but I still couldn't take my eyes off her. Silvery moonlight reflected off her wet skin, making Slavya look like an ancient Greek statue. I believe that too. The Venus de Milo, maybe? Or Milo? The scene was so fabulous that there was no room for carnal lust, only sublime admiration of true beauty. I was simply admiring the perfection of Slavya's form and forgetting everything else. Maybe this isn't hell, but heaven? Oh, it definitely is heaven. A branch treacherously snapped under my foot. Slavya turned around, but there were no way to recognize me in the darkness of the night. Or at least so it seemed. But she rapidly rushed out of the lake, put on her clothes in a hurry, and vanished from sight into the forest. I quietly went after her. Slavya was quietly trailing among the trees, choosing the easiest paths and gracefully avoiding sheared trees, pines, and snags. It was a hard job to keep pace with her. Moreover, I definitely didn't want to be caught. Firstly, peeping is just no good, and secondly, in fact, it still remains to be seen what she was doing here. Although it somehow seemed to be innocent enough, it didn't seem to have anything to do with my presence in this world. It was just innocent. It was nothing worth spying on. At last, we came out at the square. Slavya stopped and turned around to face me. Did you think I didn't notice you? Uh-oh. I was a bit confused, but I put on a mask of visible calmness. How long ago? Not sure. Slavya came closer. 5 minutes ago, maybe? So even there at the lake? What lake are you talking about? Well, Slavya seemed to be sincerely surprised, so I simply couldn't figure out whether she was pretending that nothing had happened, or... Well, never mind. I made up my mind to behave like a gentleman, or gentlemanly as was possible in these circumstances, and said nothing. Alright. Unexpectedly easily, she agreed. What a beautiful night. Slavya took a seat on a bench and looked up at the sky. I guess such nights are common here. Well, probably. Why so uncertain? I don't know, I just got lost in thought. Thinking about what? She stared at me like she was looking for something on my face, but then went back to stargazing. Now and then, I fall into such a mood at night. During the day, I'm wrapped up into work with no time to relax, while at night, it's so quiet here. If it wasn't for the crickets and the night birds, one would feel like being face to face with the universe. For some reason, I didn't think of Slavya as someone who would talk about such matters. As for me, it's even too quiet here. Is it? Yeah, really. Anything wrong with that? Well, alright. She stood up quickly and fixed her skirt. It's time to go to bed. Good night. I watched her walking away. Our talk might have been about nothing, but it seemed to me it had some deep and secret meaning that could appear only here, only next to Slavya. Seems like even in my situation, such moments of peace and serenity are absolutely necessary. They make me feel united with the universe. I'd even say vital, especially now. Okay, I wonder if this is... Okay, no, well, this is still new. I'm not sure how much time I spent sitting there, but after a while, I started to feel sleepy. Alright, this is probably new. There we go. Okay, so next one we're looking for... let's see here. That was day 2. We went to the... Okay, so the next one we're going to is, Olga asked me to help her tonight. Is what we're going next. Keep going. This isn't listed, so maybe it doesn't matter. So I guess we'll just say... Well, first let's give it a save. That's what we should do. So let's give it a save, and then we'll just say I promise, Lena. Hang on a minute. Wait, I think I might have made a mistake. Did I do... There we go, okay. I was about to say, if it doesn't matter, then I'm just have to skip it. There we go. Alright, so because I didn't want to do that other one because I couldn't fast forward through it. So that means I would have done it before. That means I hadn't done it before, and I don't want to see anything we haven't done before, is kind of my idea here, as I try to aim for certain outcomes. Okay, so yeah, Olga asked me to help her tonight. Okay, so that's where we're going, but again, give it a save. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have lied to her. I should think before I say something. Oh, really? And what exactly are we going to be helping her with? I was turning out bad, but I decided to stand my ground. Her cabin. She asked me to clean it up, sort out things and so on. Bet you know what a mess that cabin is. Sure, she asked you to tie up her closet too. The nurse looked at me so intensely that Napoleon's fiasco at the Battle of Waterloo seemed now a small annoyance compared to my current flop. I was gonna say something, but she continued to speak. Okay then, Pioneer, we'll manage it without you. I apologize, but you see, I said and looked at Lena. She's still looking at the ground like before, blushing more and more. It's alright, I'll manage it on my own. Okay then. An awkward silence followed. I wanted to sink you to the ground because of my lame lie that had probably offended Lena. Well, goodbye then. Bye. The nurse was still smiling spitefully. I never would have chosen that otherwise, but I have to for this ending. But don't worry, Lena, you're gonna get your good ending, so it'll be fine. And it's funny because I bet you I was close to getting her ending anyway. Anyway, I turned and walked away, almost running. Though in fact I really wanted to run, common sense advised me not to. Okay, I came back to my senses when I reached the square. So what's next? I decided to visit my cabin in order to collect my phone. I don't know where I'll find myself today, but having a watch is always useful. Okay, I think this might be something we've seen. Okay, who cares? I'd better keep on looking for answers is the next one. Who cares? I better keep on looking for answers. Whoever that is, what's the big deal? I have better things to do. I came back to the leader's cabin. Olga was lying lazily on her bed and reading a book. Semyon, what are you doing here? That's what I could ask her too. I've forgotten something, so I came back. You were absent at the lineup. Oh, yeah, I apologize. Alright. Nevertheless, you should do something useful today. Just as I planned, but I have my own vision of what useful means. Like, you could go to the square to help with the cleaning. Slavya is in charge there. Strange, I just been there, hadn't seen anyone. Or you could visit the boys at the electronics club, they asked me for a hand. Those fathers of invention again. Finally, you could help at the sports club. What are they up to? They're renewing the pitch, fixing the benches, changing the goal nets, and so on. Honestly, none of those options suited me. Why is she always trying to burden me with work? Seriously, except for Slavya, no one ever works here. While some people in particular are enjoying their free time with a youthful spirit. Every one of the leaders' attempts to keep me busy seems to serve only one purpose: to prevent me from finding out my current location. Really, all the deep and vital questions concerning my existence are swept away by a broom, together with all of the rubbish and litter. In my case, taking some time to work would probably pay off, but just like someone suffering gangrene and rejecting an amputation, I will stand by my beliefs. You know, I already had my own arrangements. Oh really? What kind of arrangements? She bucked up. Well, I can't just tell her that what I'm really thinking about. On the other hand, why not? No, it's too dangerous. At least now I maintain a fragile balance and nothing is threatening me. Everything seems that way. Just as I thought. What exactly she thought remains secret. You probably have not yet realized how important it is to participate in social life. I mean, especially this guy, considering what a shut-in he is. This is the only way to become a pioneer capable of being a role model. I didn't want to sit through another long lecture, so I decided to accept one of the offers. Sometimes the answers in this world can be found in the most unexpected places. Or at least so I wanted to believe. So, should I choose for you? The leader's voice turned authoritative. I can do it myself, thank you. I mumbled and left the cabin. Alright, I'm assuming we know what this is. Yeah, I'd rather help Slavya. Always choose the lesser of two evils, they say. Well, of three in this case. Slavya wasn't evil at all, so my choice was obvious. Any rational being keeps his house clean, but I usually perceived house cleaning as somewhat akin to gym workouts. Yeah, it's good for you, but not my sort of thing at all. However, I like the idea of painting benches or of helping two future geniuses of Russian or Soviet science even less. There were about a dozen pioneers at the square. Where did they all come from, I wonder? I approached Slavya. Hi there. Oh, hi. You came to help? Well, not on my own free will, of course. I thought it over again. I see. Take this broom. Your area is right next to the monument. Frankly speaking, there was nothing to sweep there. It seemed pretty clean to me, though some rubbish was still lying around. Drink break. Okay, after sweeping for a while, I came back to Slavya, who was sitting on a bench and taking a break. What a nice day, huh? Yeah, thought it's a bit too hot. Or she said, though it's a bit too hot. She shaded her eyes with her hand and looked up at the sky. You're like a tireless worker of communist labor. Oh, come on, I just like to help others. That's good. And what about you? What about me? Well, it seems to me that you find community service a bit of a burden. Obviously. He thinks everything is a burden. Well, probably. Why is that? I don't really know. Seriously, she can't expect me to just unload all my ideas concerning this point on her. She might drown in them, God forbid. Maybe you just don't like company? That's actually quite possible. There was some truth in Slavya's words. I suppose that she was good at reading other people's minds. Or at least at reading mine. Though, how can that be possible even if I find it hard to understand myself at times? What are you going to do when the session is over? What do you mean? Well, you going to enter college or do you want to master a profession? In the USSR, a person finishing high school typically had to choose between either getting a college degree, typically achieving a status of engineer or scientist, or going into secondary vocational school, thus mastering a profession. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I've already achieved Grand Mastery of all my professions, watching anime and surfing the internet. Ha, solid. I don't know yet. What about you? We have a small farm back home, so I want to help my parents there. It sounded pretty strange. Are there any private farms in the USSR where all the farming has to be collective? Man, that is just the worst idea ever. But I decided not to go into details. And what are your parents doing? My parents were not a good subject for discussion. It's not that my parents are not good, quite the opposite. They're kind-hearted people. But it's not the right time for such a discussion. My father works at the local council and my mother is a teacher. That wasn't actually true. More like a half-truth. Cool. She really seemed to consider that a cool thing. I guess so. The conversation had reached a dead end, so I was trying to take my eyes off Slavya and kept gazing under my feet or the sky or just looking around. You know, I'm pretty sure you'll also be fine. Slavya looked at me thoughtfully. Now, what was that for? And what was this also about? Thanks, I mumbled. But what do you mean? I suppose that you happen to be too pessimistic at times, so that is the truth. Isn't it that way too, straightforward? No, she's right. Maybe. But you're gonna be alright. Maybe. After this conversation, I felt ill at ease. On the one hand, there was nothing special in her words. In general, almost any person in Slavya's shoes would come to a similar conclusion. Nevertheless, I felt, and not for the first time, like she could see right through me. She might be able to. So let's get to cleaning. Aha! She smiled and took the broom. I never thought that cleaning would bring such a deep pleasure. No, I wasn't upset because of the conversation. On the contrary, I was glad to hear that from her. For the first time ever, somebody was discussing my life without criticizing me, without giving any stupid advice based on their own personal experience, without intending to go through my head, and without making some far-reaching conclusions. I was just glad that somebody supported me. No, that's not quite right. I was just glad that Slavya supported me. I guess that's fair. In a short while, the music played at the camp, calling us for lunch. I put away the broom with a sigh of relief and a sense of accomplishment and went to the canteen. I'm assuming we're just about at Old News. Okay, we might be at Old News now. Okay, let's see. I look for answers, rather help Slavya. Okay, so then this next one we need to do is run away. Charge! Alright, the solution came out of thin air. While Olga was scolding Ulyana, I snuck to the exit. Thank goodness it was nearby. Skipping outside, I hesitated for a few moments and ran into electronic. Looks like he was working till late at the club. Where's the fire? Fire? My shuttle's leaving in 10 minutes. What? Hey, wait! Electronics words hung in the air behind me. I ran off towards the square. It's definitely not the best place to hide. Indeed, in a state of stress or fatigue, I frequently start talking to myself. Well, not really talking, but rather mumbling under my breath. It helps me to concentrate and find the right solution quickly. I mumble under my breath and or talk to myself like 80% of the time. So where to next? Hang on, drink break. Where should I go? Okay, the best place would be the one with the least amount of people. Consequently, my way lies in the woods. Half a minute later, I was already relaxing, sitting on a stump near the forest trail. That was one hell of a getaway. I hope that will teach Ulyana to behave. Indeed, she's not a child anymore. Well, sad but true. Not a child anymore. Now a thought crossed my mind. I might have sort of mishandled the whole situation. A fair share of that broken tableware is because of me. Of course you mishandled it. That's the reason I didn't do this the first time. Moreover, one might mention that I didn't have to engage in that mess at the beginning. That is what I said the first time. It got me thinking. How's the weather? How's the weather? Slavya stood right before me. How did she manage to sneak up unnoticed? Thank goodness it's not Olga. Fine. Those were the only words I managed to squeeze out of myself. I thought I'd find you here. Why? I'm not sure, it's just... She looked up at the sky. There are fewer people around here. Does Slavya really think I have some sort of social phobia? On second thought, she actually has a good reason to think so. And what are you doing here? Looking for you. She smiled again, but this time her smile looked a bit different. A little friendlier, I guess. Me, why? Can't you guess? I braced myself and prepared for a harsh lecture. I understand that you're guilty to a lesser degree than Ulyana. Now the camp leader's assistant is defending me. I felt even more pathetic. Damn, get serious. We're not playing bad cop, good cop here. But if I grant that you aren't gonna help her, you can at least help me. Saying that, Slavya looked up at the sky yet again. I wonder what she's looking for up there. And what do I need to do? We have to reorganize the books in the library. It's way better than disciplinary enslavement together with Ulyana. And anyway, it was an offer I couldn't refuse. I'm all at your service, mademoiselle, or madam. She laughed. Then follow me, monsieur. In a couple of minutes, we were at the library. All the way, I kept looking around in fear of meeting Olga. It looks like Slavya didn't notice my anxiety. And still, it's quite odd that she hasn't scolded me. Well, if we are to continue our analogy, Slavia is definitely good cop. Yeah, that's true. Sorry. When we went inside, gleaming sunlight streamed through the windows of the library with a myriad of dust particles dancing in the beams. This is a special library dust with the distinctive smell that you can never confuse with anything else. These microscopic places of the moribund collected works of Marxism, Leninism classics. Sorry. That's interesting. Does the dust near the fiction shelf smell similar to the dust near the books on physics and chemistry? You start with these rows. Slavia pointed at the bookshelf near Lenin's sculpted head. Okay, but what exactly do I have to do? Just remove the books from the shelves and put them on the floor. We'll dust them and then we'll put them back. By looking at all the dust, reading is hardly the pioneer's favorite activity. Any idea where Xenia might be? I don't know. She probably went somewhere. Strange. It appears that there are just two people in the places in the world where one would meet Xenia, the library and the canteen. I got into gear. I guess I've never handled so many books at one time in my entire life. Anyway, I'm much more used to reading from a computer screen or a tablet. Firstly, there's no need to pay for electronic books, and secondly, you cannot find anything in printed form. How's it going? Asked Slavia, standing behind the bookshelves. It's okay, just going little by little. Have you read anything about that? About what? Well, about communism. No, I'm kind of more into historical books and adventures. Me too. Well, historical literature wasn't exactly my favorite, but the class struggle under socialism was definitely no match for it. Hey, don't hold a grudge against Liliana. I won't. Or I don't. Indeed, I felt that my ego mostly recovered from the incident at the canteen. I think that must be a typo. That doesn't make any sense. Besides, I managed to cleanse myself of the lunch leftovers in the forest lake. It's not like she's doing all that out of spite. Out of spite or not, one should think through one's own actions. Whatever. I kept moving around dozens of books written by people totally unknown to me. I'm gonna forget who they are in a minute, and I'll never get to know what they're writing about. That is a doom of many writers, to become a forsaken set of letters in a hardcover on a bookshelf in the library of a non-existent pioneer's camp reality. Is that really all that destined? Anyway, have you finished? Yeah, I think so. Me too. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. I'll wipe them down, and you put them back on the shelves. But I don't remember what order they were placed in before. It's okay. No one reads them anyway. It looks like she has a smile for every occasion. A couple of times I've noticed slight differences, shades of emotions in that smile, joy, happiness, sadness, but these shades were so evanescent, I wasn't really sure that I'm not imagining things. This time her smile looked a little flirty. Yeah, probably. At least I wouldn't be reading this stuff. Slavia was wiping the covers with a damp cloth, and I was putting the books back on the shelf. We were a good team. Our job was almost done. Why didn't you take anything from the upper shelves? Upper shelves? I looked up. Oh, sorry, I hadn't noticed them. It's all right. Wait a moment. I'll bring the chair. Even with my rather considerable stature, I wouldn't be able to get him. I stood on the chair and proceeded to remove the books from the shelves and pass them to Slavia. After a while, there were only about a dozen books left at the farthest end of the shelf. It looked to me like it wouldn't be hard to reach that far. I always been the type to take a larger bite rather than biting twice. Yeah, he is. There is something to that. He's probably about to land on Slavia or something. And taking that bite without moving the chair under me became a fatal error. Ha! Called it. What did I just say? Hey! What did I just say? Opening my eyes, I found myself on top of Slavia. Are you alive? I got the fright of my life. Even if I'm only 17 now, falling off a chair into a girl is something else. I'm fine. Her face was only an inch away from mine. Anything broken? I don't think so. You're making a rather bad stuntman. You make a rather bad stuntman, she laughed. You bet. I looked into her eyes. Just looked. I wasn't sure what I should say, and Slavia rather hesitated too, or just let me take the lead. At this rate, something might happen. Her lips were so close to mine. A natural desire started to awaken my body, but was it right? I had the urge to stand up, but was unable to do so. Slavia was just lying in silence and looking straight in my eyes. All of a sudden, I noticed the bell ringing on the edge of my hearing. It's dinner time. Yeah. Shall we go? Or shall we lie here some more? She smiled again, and this time her smile seemed foxy to me, as if she was hinting at something. Let's go. I didn't move an inch. Well, if we're gonna go, you need to get up first. Obviously. It felt like some invisible force was holding me in place. Slavia seemed to recognize that and carefully slipped out from under me. What a shame. What a shame! It was just getting good. Are you gonna stay there? She laughed. At that point, I finally came to my senses and stood up. Sorry. That's okay. But we haven't finished it all. Or we haven't finished it all. We'll have to clean up the rest later. Yeah, sure. I stayed silent all the way to the canteen. Slavya rambled on about her life at the camp, but given that it was indeed a monologue, I wasn't paying much attention. Okay, I'm not sure if this is new. What's our next we're going for? Okay, run away. So it looks like we're going to Olga's house. Might be our next objective here. Okay, coming to the canteen, I saw Olga on the porch. Don't you have some explaining to do, young man? Now I remember what it was like, that I'd forgotten. Nope. How was your cleaning duty? Good enough? That's not what Olyana told me. That was all her fault. And what did I tell you? I ordered you to clean it up together. And what were you doing? I didn't know what to say, so deep down I knew that she was right. Or as deep down I knew she was right. Don't blame him. Semyon was helping me at the library. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, that's all great and stuff, but to cut a long story short, you won't get dinner tonight. How's that? Why? I protested. However, my protest looked more like a demand for a refill at a prison mess hall, bold and daring, but still stupid and counterproductive. Hopefully that'll teach you a lesson. At that instant, Olga looked more like an ancient Roman legionnaire commander than a tiny pioneer camp leader. I had no idea how to oppose her. Forgive him, and hold me responsible. The camp leader took her time to think it over. All right, if you say so. Thank you. Thanks. I can't believe I just let her take the blow for me like that. We hurried inside. Well, I'm going to join the girls. We had a prior agreement. Take care. She smiled and waved her goodbyes. Seriously, where would I be without her? There was no free places near Slavya, and besides, I hadn't been introduced to her friends. It seems that I'll have to share a dinner table with Electronic and Shirk. No, there were no more places to sit. Okay, so I think this is probably all something we've seen. So, okay, so it looks like our next one is go to Olga's house. Olga's house. Olga's house. There we go. Okay, so this from here is new. Why would you come to a dance party if you'd rather sit tightly in a corner? Okay, but just a little bit. That's the spirit. She reached out her hand to me. We were standing in the middle of the dancing crowd. So I guess so obviously this is different because before we were helping Lena in the not cafeteria, the infirmary. So obviously getting to spend time at the dance with Slavya is obviously new. Well, in fact, it was me who was standing. Slavya was warming up, swaying to the beat. I was already blaming myself for agreeing to this uncomfortable proposal. Okay, here am I on the road again, and now what? I examined the dancing pioneers around me. Nope, I am not prepared for this. The music stopped abruptly. Some people were still dancing under the momentum, but the majority stopped. Don't panic, the leader went to the DJ's panel and adjusted something there. Next song, Ladies Invite Gentlemen. I looked at Slavya. She stretched out her hand to me with a smile. I shouldn't refuse a girl. Hey! We danced for a few minutes. Pause. Sorry, victory drink. Her chest heaved faster and her face flushed more and more. Slavya stared into my eyes. I tried to look away at the dancing pioneers or at my feet or somewhere else. It was a strange feeling. My whole body shuddered from time to time, but it was a pleasant shudder without any hint of uneasiness or shame. My mind became miraculously calm. I realized that I didn't want to let this girl go, and I am ready to dance with her forever. Hopping next to us, Olyana stopped for a moment and smirked. Maybe I was seeing things, but I couldn't get rid of the thought that the insolent girl was trying to hint at something. I made a frightening face, but she was already gone. Something wrong? Slavya asked quietly. Everything's fine. I mean, everything's great. I hadn't started stammering yet, but I was about to. You're so tense. A little, I said honestly. Boys don't like to dance. Guess so. Not all boys. It's a little universal. I mean, I don't, and he doesn't, but you know. I mean, most guys I know don't, but it doesn't mean every guy hates dancing or anything. Anyway, she didn't say anything, just smiled. The song eventually finished. I was still holding Slavya, but she easily slipped out of my grasp. What a shame. Thank you for the dance. I should thank you. I just stood and stared at her for some time. The next track started playing. One more? No, I think I'll rest a little. I tried to leave the square as soon as possible. I don't remember how I ended up at the beach. Hang on, this might not be new. Alright, what's our next one? I think it is still go to Olga's house, I believe. Alright, why did I run away? It looked exactly like running away. The dance was nice and Slavya was pleased, but something wasn't right. I felt restless just thinking about the ball. Maybe I just lost my grasp on the situation and got emotional? That happens rarely. I always tried to behave and calmly assess the situation when I wasn't panicking like a little baby. Anyway, but did I manage it this time? I sat on the sand and looked at the river. The full moon was hanging far above the water. Memories overwhelmed me. I am 6 years old. Me and my father are fishing. I cast my fishing net clumsily and wait. 1 minute, 2, 10, no fish bite. Meanwhile, my father gets one after another. How do you do that? He explains, but now I don't remember all the details. I'm 9 years old. A dark, incomplete building near our country's house full of ghosts, vampires, and maybe just hobos. An unstable wooden ladder on the second floor hanging above the abyss, the hole to the basement. I'm scared, but I still climb up and down the ladder every day. A brick falls on my foot, and I lose a toenail. Ow. I'm 12 years old, my first victory in a video game tournament. We play a console fighting game. An imaginary audience applauds my astonishing victory. I am 15 years old. I score several wonderful goals with my heel, and a wonderful shot from 30 meters right into the upper corner. Like, again, had like this crazy dyslexic moment. I couldn't even like read that. I'm 17 years old. My first love. Transient images, a shadow slipping away and vanishing in the city haze. I can't catch her among the buildings and corners. The following memories became more clear, but far less vivid. The images of my childhood and youth that I saw were unclear. They lacked details, and I couldn't quite see the faces of the people. Sometimes they just looked a lot like a canvas covered with spilled paint. But the feelings of those hazy images were so much warmer than those of more recent memories. That's true, man. There you are. Slavya, my love! Slavya leaned over me. I didn't get a fright. Why'd you leave so soon? Just felt like being alone for a bit. It was like I hid in a shell. There was no outer world for me, and I responded the same way to all stimuli. I was like the three monkeys. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Isn't it just beautiful here? Slavya looked at the river. Yeah, it is. How about one more dance? No thanks, I'm fine. Deep inside I knew I shouldn't be so sharp with Slavya, but I was like a puppet on a string, forced to say things I would have never said under other circumstances. What are you thinking about? Nothing. You can't think about nothing. She pouted her lips, but smiled right after that, letting me know she wasn't offended. You're always thinking about something, even if you don't notice it. Maybe. So, what are you thinking about now? About owls. I said the first thing that came to my mind. Why owls? She laughed. I don't know. Have you ever seen any owls? Of course I have. What a silly question. Do you like them? They're just a bird like any other. A night bird, Slavya specified. Yeah, a night bird. A night bird. I imagine an owl, a little feathered box with huge blinking eyes. Are you a night owl? What? You know, there are day larks and night owls. Some like to get up early and some like to sleep in. I am a night owl. Her words brought me back to reality. I pictured my dusty room full of junk, a mountain of unwashed plates on the table, guitar rotting in the corner, a necktie hanging from a lamp, and from the pinnacle of all of this, a heap of dirty socks under the bed. He is disgusting. I was indeed a night owl. Night was my time, but somehow I was managing to get up early in this camp. I know. So what are you? A night owl, I guess. I like to sleep. And I am a daylark. The earlier you get up, the more you can do during the day. There is really nothing urgent for me to do, so I don't see any difference between the day and night. It's just quieter and calmer during the night. Slavya, don't you have any problems at all in your life? What do you mean? She wondered. You're always so joyful, so ready to help, so eager to start doing something. It is like nothing can upset you. Why? She laughed. I'm just an ordinary person. That's right, just an ordinary person in an ordinary place. I sometimes think that I am the strange one here. Don't you like the camp? I don't mean only the camp. In the previous, I stumbled. I shouldn't speak so frankly even with her. At home, too. I think that I'm not like the others. It's not where I belong. Oh, stop that. It's silly to think so. I was closing myself off from the rest of the world just a moment ago, and now I was opening my heart to this girl. What's happening to me? No, really, you wouldn't pay any attention to me under other circumstances. I am so different from you. I'm lazy, unsociable, and I have no outstanding talents. I would be the last person you would notice in the crowd of a large city. Though to me, even going outside is rare. Semyon, you scare me. She looked at me seriously. I got embarrassed, but didn't avert my eyes. Am I wrong? Of course. You are you. There is no other person like you. You should just have some self-esteem and patience, and you can do anything. No doubt about it. I looked at the sky. If only everything could be as simple as you say. It's not difficult at all. Let's start right now. Start what? Changing. Just like that? How do you imagine we can do that? We should do something useful. For instance? Well, she thought for a moment. Let's clean up the square. The ball is already finished. Just the two of us? Would we be able to do all the work? There isn't all that much to do. The first step is the most important. I can't argue with her at that point, but taking down the lighting from the trees in the dark, moving heavy audio equipment, and sweeping. None of that was on my to-do list, but I didn't know how to nicely refuse her. Maybe we could do it tomorrow? With everyone? Why put it off until tomorrow? Wouldn't it be wonderful to stand in a clean square doing the lineup? First of all, I don't even like the lineups in general. Hey, I understand you, but this is too much. Slavya thought for a moment. Yeah, it looks like you're right. Even I can be right sometimes, and she can be wrong. Then she stretched and yawned. Let's just sleep on it then. A nice idea, but I wanted to talk more. Isn't it too early? No, Slavya objected critically. You'll sleep all day tomorrow then. Tell me a bedtime story then. I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. I know only those I read in books. You must know them too. Maybe I do. What a failure. Shall we go? She stretched out her hand to me. I'll stay here for a little longer. I need some fresh air. You can go. Good night. Good night. Slavya ran away. I wanted to enjoy my total defeat first. I couldn't stand being with her for even a minute longer than after that brilliant idea. Bedtime stories? What in the world? That's how the things are. You try to have a casual chat with a girl and it turns to a complete flop. I stared into the night sky. The stars, those small lights of distant suns, blinked perkily as if laughing at me. I turned over and buried my face in the sand. After a moment, I realized that another one of my bright ideas, about on par with asking for a bedtime story. I stood up, spitting grit, and went to the leader's cabin. Interesting. My back itched all the way. Not only my back, my whole body. No wonder, I haven't had a bath for several days. That's disgusting. Well, it's really hot here during the daytime, so you sweat like a pig. I should find some soap and a towel. I can find everything in Olga's cabin. After a couple of minutes, I was again at the square with my bag of bathing accessories. I have to find the bathhouse now. It was easy. The building was just on the edge of the forest. Something is about to happen. I can feel it. Wait, what is the next one we're looking for? Go to Olga's house. All right. It really is the best place for a bathhouse. I think that there was no Blair Witch inside, but the lights were still on. And whose bright idea is it to have a bath at midnight? Says the guy who's going towards the bath. I muttered below my breath. There is only one problem. Is it a boy or a girl? In the first case, we could just have a bath together without any worries. I am not fond of public baths, but I can cope with them this time. In the second case, I would have to wait or scratch myself the whole night through. Who knows how long I have to wait? I peeped into the window, but couldn't see anything because of the steam. Suddenly, Slavya appeared right before me as if from... And we're back! Alright, so suffice it to say, some editing is gonna need to happen there. Suffice it to say, Slavya was in there. So yeah, Slavya was in there, so you can imagine what we were watching. But obviously, can't show that one. I think I could get away with the first one. That is not one I can get away with, so... There you go. It was great, suffice it to say. I managed to come to my senses just at the moment she went into the changing room and left to hide in the nearby bushes. So yeah, as you can imagine, Semyon was having a great time. Much like myself, Semyon was having a great time. Anyway, the best thing to do was to not tempt fate and leave, but I realized that too late. Slavya appeared on the porch just after a moment, stood there for a while, enjoying the night breeze, and walked in the direction of my hideout. I had a dozen excuses in my mind, but she went by without even looking at the bushes I was hiding in. Looks like I'm lucky. I cautiously got out and went to Olga's cabin, completely forgetting about my intention to have a bath. I was totally exhausted, and I wanted to just fall in bed and doze off. Alright, I wonder if this is... Okay, still new. My eyes couldn't wait and were closing from time to time. It was dangerous even to blink. I still didn't know the camp well enough to walk with my eyes closed. Suddenly, Slavya appeared before me. You going to sleep? Well, yeah. Right this moment, I remembered the sight in the bathhouse and averted my eyes shyly. And you? I'm cleaning up. She took the broom out from behind her back. Slavya took with a broom in the empty square at night. Looked like a witch from a children's fairy tale. What? Nothing. Is it really a good idea to clean the square after a bath? And how do you know that I had a bath? I physically felt the fear taking over my body, cold sweat starting to run down my back, my thoughts froze so I couldn't think of any excuses. Slavya stared at me in surprise. It looked like my life depended on this answer. Well, your hair is wet. Oh, you're right. I wanted the earth to swallow me up, so I would vanish from this world just as suddenly and irreversibly as I had vanished from mine. You gonna have a bath too? Me? Well, Slavya looked at the bag in my hands. Yes, I am, so good night. I turned around and darted back towards the bathhouse. Wow, what a disaster. Exactly, what a disaster. How shameful. I walked slowly, trying to curse myself for all that had happened. I shouldn't have peeped in the first place, but if I peep anyway, then I must pay more attention and think of an excuse beforehand. Oh. It didn't take much time to wash myself. It looked like the night made its own ball or possibly a concert. The stars were the lights, the birds and the insects were an orchestra, an owl hooting somewhere was its director. The sound of wind in the trees was an applause of the audience. The night looked much more beautiful than when you stand in the forest, clean and fresh. Suddenly, I heard a noise in the bushes nearby. I'm gonna laugh if it's Slavya. I shivered but didn't get very scared. It may be a squirrel or another animal. Nevertheless, I should check it out. I went to the bushes, but didn't find anything or anyone suspicious. It just seemed, with a clean body and calm spirit, I went to the leader's cabin. Olga was already asleep. I went to bed without taking, still new. Without taking my clothes off and covered myself with a blanket. I couldn't fall asleep for a long time, remembering naked Slavya, whose image could not be eclipsed by thoughts about finding answers. Aha. And who could blame you? Alright, so we are on day 4. Okay, back up. Where are we? Okay, so we are actually much farther down than what I thought. Huh. What's funny is I don't feel like we had these other options. It says, like, go to Olga's house, do not ask about the bundle, and then go with Slavya. And that was definitely day 3, but, like, we didn't have all these options. I know I'd rather help Slavya with something we said. Run away with something we said. Go to Olga's house. Do not ask about the bundle. Go with Slavya. I mean, I feel like we didn't actually have all those options. Alright, anyway. Bizarre. Okay, I was gonna head to breakfast when somebody knocked on the door. It was Slavya. Good morning. Have you seen Olga? I stared at her breasts. They had just mesmerized me too much the day before. Sorry, it was so sudden. I guess I was surprised. Semyon? Slavya was looking at me worryingly, but I still didn't manage to shift my gaze away. Solid. Something wrong? On the contrary, everything is just... Olga? I don't know. She wasn't here when I woke up. I finally managed to control myself. Fine, I still have one thing to do so see you at breakfast. Slavya smiled, waved at me, and ran away. Still, regardless, the morning was shining and beautiful. The bright sun was shining over the space and time-displaced pioneer camp of this insert Russian camp name here, warming its residents and filling them with energy to spend the day productively. Okay, after that, actually, none of that's new. Let's go. Meow. We're flying. I don't think any of this matters. It's just so weird. It's so weird. Maybe that there's a mistake here because now we have the choice to go to Olga's house. Hang on, I want to see something. But it's still a stupid idea. If Shirk was hiding her in the camp, he would have been found by now, of course, assuming he wants to be found. So I hardly think I can help them. Together with this thought, I entered the cabin and stretched myself on the bed. Nothing good will happen if Olga finds me here. Stop, enough. Am I just a trembling creature, or do I have rights? I didn't want to do anything anyway. The day was just as hot as the previous ones, and the only thing to do was to stay in bed and wait for lunch. I was just falling asleep when somebody knocked on the door. Come in. Slavya. Haha, okay. So it's a mistake in the guide. I was about to say, like, we didn't have these choices. It's because there's supposed to be a day 4 between these two, this paragraph. In the center of this paragraph, there's supposed to be a day 4. Okay. So we went to Olga's house. The next one we're looking for is do not ask about the bundle, which... I remember what that one is, and I wouldn't have asked anyway. Slavya stood on the doorstep. Olga isn't here, is she? No. And what are you doing? She asked with suspicion. I looked over myself lying on the bed and said, lying down, I can see that. But I heard Olga ask you to find Shirk. Well, yeah. And what's the point? I'm sure she's already turned the whole camp upside down. Not much time has passed. Why should we panic? You know, stuff could happen. Slavya looked at me thoughtfully. Get up. Do I have to? I was so worn out that even the thought of going somewhere frightened me. Yes, you do. Slavya is not a person who I could ever say no to, as you freaking should. I stood up reluctantly and went out of the cabin with her. We stood at the doorway for some time, relaxing in the beams of the summer sun, though I was rather frying. Where shall we go? We have to look everywhere. Great idea, just great. Hey, you're going everywhere with Slavya, you idiot. The first stop on our route was the library. Slavya went to Xenia sitting at the table and spoke to her. I just stood in the doorway. I didn't want to communicate with this librarian any more than necessary. A few minutes later, Slavya came back to me. Sorry, drink break. So? Nothing. She shook her head. As expected. The canteen. We still had time before lunch starts, so there was no usual crowd of pioneers. It was empty inside and outside of the building. While Slavya was talking to the cooks, I was sitting and playing with the salt shaker. With a salt shaker, maybe. Some salt spilled out of the pot. Certainly, I would be worried if I was superstitious. Strangely enough, he wasn't here either. It would be unexpected if she had found him, for instance, in the refrigerator. The next stop, according to our plan, was the infirmary. I decided not to go inside and waited for Slavya. No results. There were pioneers playing football in the sports ground. It would be hard for sure to get lost among them. Finally, we reached the clubhouse. You think he could be here? I think that'd be the first place that people would have searched. Let's go in. It's a good thing she's the responsible one. Empty inside. Slavya opened the door and went into the next room. I followed her. This all seemed to me to be a stupid undertaking. This was strange, especially because it was Slavya's idea. I mean, I understand responsibility and so on, but he really does it because he doesn't care. But isn't it obvious that he isn't in the camp? After all, he isn't playing hide and seek with us, is he? He isn't playing hide and seek with us, is he? No one here either. What'd you expect? Is he'd be sitting in a closet? Well, it seems like I defended her. Yeah, because this guy's an idiot. Sorry, but seriously. I understand. But we have to check all possibilities. Okay, listen, what do you really think? About Shirk's disappearance? Yeah. Maybe he went to the forest and got caught by a forest spirit. She laughed at that. What a fabulous story. However, in this camp, you never know. Yeah, true that. But now isn't the time for jokes. Cheer up, we'll find him. I hope so. Slavya smiled. Well, I still have some things to do. See you later. She left, but I was standing there for some time staring at the Cybernetics Club's closet. However, I was so inspired by Slavya's actions that I decided to continue searching somewhere else. Alright, I think after this point, I don't think any of this matters. Yeah. Aha! There we go, okay. I think you look gorgeous in it. I don't think it matters. Over to got food poisoning from the canteen. I don't know. Alright, do not ask about the bundle. Okay, again, I already knew that. Okay, next one is go with Slavya. Do not give it to her. We're gonna eat the apple. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, go with Slavya. I'll go with him. Okay, I think this is where we go into the mine, isn't it? All right, the next one is on day 5. We're gonna go to the canteen. But again, I think I saw all this already. So keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, I think I remember the directions. I think it's right. All right, I think it's right, left, right. Oh, from memory. Suck it. All right, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep her going. I fast forwarded it, so I don't even have to blur that out. All right. Okay, where we are, day 5. Go to the canteen. Infirmary. There we go. I always took good care of my health, and even better at the moments when I couldn't bear it anymore. And now I was able to walk, and my feet weren't even hurting much, so my feet will heal up eventually, while hunger drives the wolf from the wood. Surely the pioneers didn't finish up everything. At least a couple of sausages, eggs, or in the worst case, a few pieces of bread should be left. It was so deserted and quiet around the canteen that I even hesitated for a second. Isn't it here that every pioneer seeks his happiness 3 times a day, or maybe even more often? Isn't it an oasis of this heated summer desert? Isn't it a secret chemical lab studying how types of meals unknown to science affect immature teenage bodies? Now, this building looked more like a bastion abandoned by its defenders, a kind of La Roche left by the somebodies. Just get in, and the ghosts of warriors who accepted a heroic death here will surround you. This guy should be a poet with the weird, complicated, analogies he comes up with. The canteen looked the way it always did, though. It was just completely empty, except for Miku, who is cleaning a table. So, in parentheses, next to my guide here, it says there's a side option to get a CG with Miku that you couldn't get during her route. So, now you know. Seeing that, I quickly turned around and tried to sneakily escape, but didn't manage to make it. Hey, Semyon, did you come here to eat? You missed breakfast, didn't you? I mean, I didn't see you. You could have been there, but I didn't see you. It's good that you came anyway. Hi. Well, yeah, I just came. Wondering if there was anything left, maybe. There's nothing left. You need to wait for lunch. You won't help me, by the way? I'm cleaning up here. What for? What do you mean? She puffed up her lips and seemed offended. Somebody has to clean up. We do it in turns. You'll have your turn as well. Thanks, but no. Okay, got it. I was gonna leave, but Miku still couldn't stop. So, will you help me? Of course I'll help you. I'm not a moron. I don't know why I agreed, because I'm forcing you to be a good person. It happens often that you make a decision first and then wonder for quite a while why you said what you said. You think again and again, and still couldn't figure out why on earth you did that. That's how I felt wiping the tables one after another. There you go. This is our secret CG. Yay! You know, I came up with a new song. You want me to sing it? Not eager at all. No. She started to think. It would be hard to sing and clean at the same time. I'll sing it later then. Mika gave me a disarming smile. Yes, of course. It's so cool how you saved Shirk yesterday. The entire camp has been talking only about it since this morning. I feel just like a hero. It was nothing much, really. No, really, I'm serious. I would never dare to go into the woods at night, into the old camp. You know the rumors about it? Or, you know the rumors about it? About the camp leader who shot herself? Before they said she hanged herself. And it's so scary in general. Yeah, it probably is. I tried to isolate myself from external stimuli and concentrate on the cleaning. It helped me to finish sooner than I expected. And now it's done. Thank you. There was quite a bit of time before lunch, so I decided to go for a walk. I picked a random direction that could be explained by the single word forward. In the end, I found myself at the square. There wasn't a surprise at the monument of Genda appeared to be the central hub of this camp in a kind of conglomerate. Kilometer zero? I don't know. I sat on the bench and started to think. 4 days have passed, and I haven't gotten even an inch closer to working out how I got here. It's true that quite a few strange things happened during this time, but almost every one of them can be explained logically after careful thinking. Every single one of them could have happened in normal life. Normal life. This term lost its original meaning to me here. Reactions to the environment, the actions and words of other people, or my own words indeed, none of this here is normal. In the past 4 days, my worldview has taken a series of painful punches to the stomach and uppercuts which led to me being, if not knocked out, then seriously knocked down. Sorry, drink break. Sometimes I don't understand why I act one way or the other or say some things. Actually, I do understand, but not straight away. Such afterthoughts, however, didn't help me to act differently, more sanely, or appropriate to the situation at all. Moments of truth happening to me are becoming more and more rare. If my only wish during the first day was getting out of here, then now my main concerns were trying to find food, how to avoid the lineup in the morning, and what to say to Olga if Alyssa complains about me. And those things are truly important to me. And day after day, daily fuss like this overshadows the thoughts in my head about how the world around me, tougher than this camp, and these girls are completely abnormal. But I can't do anything about it myself, because I just forget. In the same way we breathe without thinking about it, I am joining the everyday life of the local inhabitants more and more without realizing it. I'm steadily becoming an average pioneer. No, this is wrong. I shouted aloud and slapped my face a few times. All of a sudden, the bell sounded, calling the pioneers for lunch, came from the loudspeakers. Finally, I ran skipping along to the canteen, leaving my aspiring thoughts back at the square where they could sound interesting to Genda alone, and only if he was alive. Alright, there we go. Okay, let me go ahead and double check here. Let's see. Nope. Let's keep going. Go with Slavya, as if we couldn't have guessed that. Alright, now to the next one. Alright, let's see. Thanks to the girls' help, which is what I said the first time. Okay. Do nothing. Wait. Thanks to the girls' help. Do nothing, just stay seated. Let's go ahead and give it a save, as I'm not entirely sure if any of these choices matter. Okay, we're just gathering cake ingredients. Okay. It doesn't matter. Alright, if we're just gathering cake ingredients, then none of this matters. Keep going. Keep her going. Even more. Forward. Alright, I think we're just doing nothing, just stay seated, right? Do nothing, just stay seated, okay? Okay, then we're going to try and find Slavya. I'm really interested in where Slavya has gone, though I also wanted to leave this place as fast as possible, and if not, to finally lie down to sleep, then at very least to spend some time alone, away from all these pioneers and Olga, who just couldn't wait to occupy me with something again. I picked a good moment and fled into the forest. Ah, so do you wonder, so before, you know how I was telling him to do stuff and he wasn't doing it? Do you think it's because you have to have a certain, like, affinity with them at that point, and then he'll do it if you have enough? Because before he's like, nah, and he just sits down anyway. So I'm wondering now if you have to have a certain level of, like, whatever, affection with them, and then you can actually, follow through on this stuff. That's my question. I picked a good moment and fled into the forest. Night had fallen onto the camp, an absolutely normal and unremarkable night. One of those nights when the dark sky, stars, or crescent moon don't trigger any special emotions, when the crickets, chirping and the singing of nightbirds seem more like an everyday routine than a nocturnal chorus. I wandered around the forest with no special purpose, trying not to get too far from the camp. After all, there was a chance to meet Ilyana out here, and that natural disaster would probably be even worse than the camp leader. I sat down on a fallen tree and started thinking. Why is this all happening to me? Why do I keep getting myself in a foolish situation every time and everywhere? Even having suddenly appeared in a weird pioneer camp in the middle of nowhere, I don't get to become a subject in an experiment, a victim of a sick cosmic mind, or a participant in an intergalactic war on the side of a group of suicide-prone pacifists, like a regular hero of science fiction. This guy really should find something to do with all of this, with all of this analogy talent of his. He should become like a poet or a writer or something. Like, it's no wonder the dude doesn't have any friends. If he spent less time sitting, like pondering and coming up with these crazy, comparisons that are completely crazy, and spent more time talking to people or trying to get to know people, imagine the good he could do. No, I get to hide in the night forest from a raving camp leader and her workhorse pioneers. He is such a complainer. The stars in the night sky were shining brightly. Perhaps they gave their light not only to me and this camp, but also shine to the city where I was born and where my old home is. It was as if a pain settled in my chest. I envisioned my old flat clearly, and a detestable burning started making its way from my stomach to my throat. No, it was not wistfulness, more like a sad reminiscence, because despite all that's happened, I had felt more alive in less than 5 days here than I had for several years there. Yeah, see, even he knows! Even he knows that it's true. Now I really wasn't sure if I wanted to get back. Only one question still ate at me, how and why I ended up here. It flared up yet again in my mind. I haven't spent much time seeking answers or even just thinking about my situation lately. My thoughts were occupied with everyday routine affairs, and now in order to break away and be able to wish to stay here for good, I need to understand the nature of this place. It's just that even a nightingale in a golden cage has the right to know how and by whose will he got in there, and after that to make the choice whether to stay or not. Probably I would have been lost in my external thoughts for a long time, but I heard voices approaching, Olga and the pioneers. Looks like they are proceeding with their hike. I headed to the camp at fast pace. I had no idea to go back to the camp leader's cabin because I would surely be scolded, and just waiting for it is much worse. Soon enough, I arrived at the beach, and I wasn't alone here. A pioneer uniform was lying on the sand, a girl's one, but no one seemed to be swimming in the water. Alright, so buckle up. Any second there's probably going to be an abrupt edit, but that's just something my gut's telling me. I almost thought it was some new devilry when suddenly a voice came from behind. Sorry, I was drinking. Skipping out on the hike? I thought you were still in the woods. Okay, we're good. I turned around and saw Slavya in a bikini. Sorry, I guess I interrupted you. That's okay, I'm almost done. Why'd you decide to have a swim during the night? Oh, well, is it prohibited? She smiled. Well, no. It's just, won't Olga mind you leaving early? But you did the same. Slavya gave me a quick glance. Yeah, I did. I sat down on the sand and stared at the river. You didn't like the hike, did you? No, it's not that. I just wanted to be alone for some time. But I've interrupted you. No, not really. That's not like you at all. What are you talking about? Well, to leave like that. Well, I'm not a robot that can only act according to the predefined program. She laughed. Yeah, that's right. I was still puzzled, and my fatigue was also becoming stronger and stronger. My mind was absolutely blank. To be precise, it was so heavy and full that not so much as a single idea would have the chance to dwell there. If I would compare my brain at its prime to a broad highway full of speeding thoughts overtaking each other and causing great chaotic crashes, then now it's nothing but a forgotten tiny path in a distant, desolate forest, which is the only use in times of absolute necessity. Like I said, incredibly complex analogy. So I said the first thing that crossed my mind. Don't you think it's all pretty strange here? Strange? Everything that happens here. It's the ideal model of a pioneer camp. Of course, it's not like I know a lot about them, but it looks exactly like I imagined it. What are you talking about? Slavya glanced at me perplexedly. Do you ever feel like you're not where you belong? I don't know. More precisely, not where you were meant to be at all. As if thousands of kilometers away from home or even another galaxy. I don't understand we're similar in this. I laid down on my back and looked at the stars. And what would you think if I told you that I'm an alien from the future? Are you? Asked Slavya in dead earnest. Well, let's assume I am. How should I return to my time? Do you really want to? Yeah, all the conversation with her will have to do with my situation. Even the slightest hints of it always end up at the same place. It's like she's offering me a chance to stay. Almost insisting on it. Well, let's say that I'm not sure. There, as we could call it, everything is like home to me. Or rather, more familiar. Practically everything is known to me and I'm prepared for any situation. And here it's the other way around. Literally every little thing comes as a surprise, and everything's different. Is it really that bad? I wouldn't call it bad. Unfamiliar, unclear. Sometimes it can be hard to change something, especially for people with my personality. But what do you really want? To start with, I can't answer that question until I find out exactly where here is. Then go and find out. If only it were that easy. But what's so difficult about it? Everything's difficult. I don't even know where to start. And I'm constantly being distracted. You're talking about it seriously. It's almost like it's all real, she laughed. Who knows? A pretty long silence followed. Suddenly, Slavya sneezed. Bless you. Thanks. It wasn't a good idea to swim at night. You could get ill. Hurry to your cabin. It's cold out here. It's nothing. I'd rather sit here and with you. I'd rather sit here with you a bit more, for the love. Now, just let me dress. Well, I was certainly flattered, but let's go. I'll walk you. But we didn't even walk a dozen steps before Slavya grabbed my arm. What's the matter? Oh, I suddenly felt dizzy. I touched her forehead. It was burning. I was never able to measure body temperature by touch, but in this case it was obvious. I told you. Sneezing again. I'm not gonna make an achoo noise. All right, come on. No, I could infect Xenia. Listen, we better go to the infirmary. And what would you do to the infirmary at night alone? That's nonsense. No, it's not nonsense. If you don't want to help, I'll do it by myself. She let go of my hand and was ready to leave. Don't get upset. Put this on. It's cold. I handed her my sweater, which I had brought with me on the hike. Finally, found some use for it. Good boy. Thanks. She pulled the sweater on and gave me such a tender and caring look that I just couldn't argue with her anymore. Okay, fine. The infirmary it is, as you say. It should have been that in the first place, idiot. 5 minutes later, we were standing by the infirmary door, and Slavya was picking out the right key. I still considered this the idea quite foolish. Nobody ever died from a common cold, at least not in the past century. I couldn't see any good reason to spend the night in the infirmary. It doesn't matter if you could see it, because she can see it, so suck it up and be a man. Finally, Slavya opened the door and leaned on my arm. I'm still a bit dizzy, she said guiltily. Slavya landed on the bed. I sat on the chair nearby. Still, listen, alone for the whole night in the infirmary. After all, at least Xenia could get you a glass of water if you needed one. You wouldn't catch the illness. She's young and strong. That's not an indication. You're not young, so you're not immune to disease, you idiot. It's alright. I don't want to bother anyone, and the nurse will come tomorrow. I suddenly imagined myself at Slavya's place. Imagined that I had spent the whole night here, alone, and shivers ran down my spine. Listen, maybe I could stay with you for a while. I owed a lot to Slavya. No kidding, you do. And in fact, I didn't even want to leave. What for? Everything will be fine. Thanks for walking me over. You should go and get some sleep. I still think it's fine. For a moment, I thought, of course nothing terrible will happen to her here, but I myself would feel more relaxed if I stayed with her. I think... Oh, come on, Slavya cried out as if offended. You won't throw me out, will you? I smiled slyly. All right, but if you get infected, you only have yourself to blame. I was happy with my little victory. Okay, then, what shall we do? There should be some playing cards in the chest. Dirac? In fact, I didn't know any other games except that one in poker. Okay. I hope I don't have to actually have to play. I will get stomped. I don't know how to play that. All right, we spent a lot of time playing. Good, I don't have to. I completely lost the track of time. We chatted and laughed a lot. Slavya didn't seem ill at all. Then midnight came. Time to sleep. Probably. And where are you gonna go? She gazed at me. Come on, you shouldn't be sitting here with me. I can do it anyway. At the moment, I could even fall asleep standing up. Slavya watched me for some time and then drew the curtain and said, Good night. Night. I lowered my head on my arms and fell asleep in an instant. Despite being exhausted, I slept uneasily. It was more of a slumber. My awareness kept leaving me and returning again. The best possible state for dreaming something psychedelic. Bus number 410 drove past the room. It was snowing from the ceiling and my computer's monitor suddenly rose from the middle of the table. Sorry, I was drinking. Wallpaper blended through the walls, rubbish piles rose through the floor, and my old bed materialized in the corner. It was my old flat again. The scenery changed to that of my hometown. It was like I was running through endless hordes of people bustling in and out. And then darkness fell on me. Primal, a universal darkness. I jumped up in terror. I was sweating like a river. Slavya was looking at me wearily from the bed. Just a bad dream. I attempted to smile. You were screaming. Screaming what? I don't know. It was incomprehensible. The clock only displayed 12:30. Semyon. Huh? I'm freezing. Slavya was rubbing the arms of her sweater, shivering. Hang on, I'll find a blanket. I searched through one cabinet after another, swearing to myself about how the damn infirmary had nothing to cover up the patients. Sorry, there's nothing here. Wait, I'll run and fetch something. You don't have to. Would you just lie here with me? It'll be much warmer. She was absolutely serious. Her voice sounded so piteous that just for a second I was left breathless. You sure that it is okay? So it's not? She asked, blushing. No. Why... I slowly took off my shoes and lay on the very edge of the couch, trying to occupy as little space as possible, trying to shrink and stop breathing. Slavya gently embraced me and rested her head on my chest. Yeah, that's better, she purred. I was unable to say anything and I just lay there calmly. Very good. Thank you. For what? Slavya kept her eyes closed and seemed ready to fall asleep at any second. For being here. It's fine. 2 minutes ago, she was desperately trying to get rid of me. No, really. Then you're welcome. She said nothing, but I was sure that Slavya smiled. Contact us anytime, as they say. You're so kind. You care so much. Well, I try. He only cares about you. You should be happy about that. You're a good friend. Friend? Well, yeah, probably. Somehow this word hit me painfully. On the other hand, there was no reason to believe— he's like, friend-zoned, what? There was no reason to believe that I was something more to Slavya than just a friend. What are these thoughts about anyway? You too. I just couldn't bring myself to find the right words. What's up with the word you too? It's been a pleasure dealing with you as we hope for further mutually beneficial cooperation. Or, yeah, it's cool being friends with you too. Let's go and play in the sandbox. This was twice as hard to endure as Slavya lying right next to me. I can't run, I can't hide, and even without her looking in my eyes, I know that she sees right through me. You're distressed by something, aren't you? No, I'm fine. But I can tell that you are. Well, maybe. You want to talk about it? Well, not really. In fact, there's nothing to talk about. Then you don't really know why you're upset? Yeah, probably. Then why get upset in the first place? Slavya laughed. I guess I shouldn't. That's great. She hugged me even harder. Not cold now? I'm fine. Just tell me if you're not comfortable. No, it's okay. Just like that time on the boat? My muscles, as if remembering that rowing competition, reminded me of it with a dull ache. It's totally different. Okay, she said slyly and raised her head a bit. So, everything is fine? Yeah, perfect. I started to worry. Slavya surely wanted something from me. Wanted me to do or say something. But what? Are you sure? Yeah? Probably. Well then, have a good night. You too. He's like, was I supposed to do something? After a while, she fell asleep. I checked the clock out of the corner of my eye. It was only 1 a.m., and that meant I still had to lie in this position until morning. I wasn't really concerned about my arm going numb. Just being so close to Slavya in such a dangerous proximity, I couldn't sleep at all. Various thoughts were invading my head. Did she really consider this whole situation normal? Hey man, so long as she's sleeping, it's worth it. Either fall asleep or find some time to be zen. Oh dear. Oh, what is with this timing right now? Oh man, like that's bad. Just when I was thinking about how bad it would be if anybody found us, the door opened, the light switched on, and Olga rushed in. My heart jumped and stopped for a moment. Semyon, started the camp leader in a diabolically calm voice. I've been searching for you everywhere, and you escaped from the forest ahead of time. You didn't come to the cabin to sleep, and now you're seducing our best pioneer. Slavya instantly woke up. She was staring at the camp leader with sleepy eyes for a few seconds, and then instantly understood what was going on and jumped from the bed. Olga, it's not what you think. I just felt ill, and Semyon walked me here. And then I got cold, and I told him to go to his cabin. Oh, yeah, sure. So you're sick, are you? I am, answered Slavya humbly. Then you have to get treatment. She watched me menacingly. And you, get up and follow me. I understood that arguing was not an option and left the infirmary, not even looking at Slavya. Darn it, Olga, you ruined it! It was like, finally, we were making progress, things were happening, love was in the air, smell the roses. But no, Olga comes along and ruins the moment. We reached the square without saying a word. Olga viciously looked over at me and said, time to go home. I need to have a serious talk with you. Great. I felt awful the whole way. The camp leaders silently followed me. I think that once again, I've got this stupid situation which will be perceived totally wrong by everybody. Nothing to discuss. What if I were in Olga's place? 2 teenagers cuddling in the empty infirmary at night. It's hard to come up with any apologies. The worst thing is that all of these things always happen, especially to me. I always considered myself to have an analytical mind. However, I rarely got to put it into practice. Analytical after the fact. That sucks. We entered the cabin and the camp leader continued the interrogation. Sorry, I wasn't just like staring into her eyes, I was drinking. Would you care to explain yourself? She seemed to have calmed down a bit. At least this side of her character was appealing. She was of course an impulsive woman, but she also cooled down quickly. Slavya already told you everything. You expect me to believe that? I can't force you to believe it, but I'm not going to invent any excuses either, because it's the truth. She looked at me for some time and then said, tomorrow I'll decide what to do with you. The camp leader turned off the light. I rolled myself in the blanket, not even bothering to undress, and turned to face the wall. Interesting. Why does she only blame me for what happened? I wasn't there alone after all. Slavya is the role model pioneer, of course, but no, I didn't intend to shift blame on her. I just felt too ashamed for getting into an idiotic situation once again. Involuntarily, with no malicious thoughts, not expecting any trap. I could have laid there pitying myself for a long time, but fatigue overtook me and I blacked out. That's true. Okay, what is the next one we're looking for? Okay, thanks to the girls' help. I want to find Slavya. or try to find Slavya. Okay, so on day 6, is that where we are now? Okay, day 6. Holy, whoa, she was on the map. I'm sorry. I just noticed that. All right, sorry, hang on, I got a glance. All right, so on day 6, I want to get something for Slavya is the next dialogue we're looking for. All right, I didn't sleep well. I kept waking up for a minute or two and then dropping off again. I didn't dream much, just some grotesque images forgotten by morning. Olga woke me up. Wake up already. I rubbed my eyes open and looked at her questioningly. What time is it? Late enough. My whole body ached and my head was heavy like a bowling ball. Pull yourself together and go wash up right now. I stood up obediently, took my toiletry bag, and went outside. I didn't want to talk to the camp leader at the moment. A lecture was clearly coming, a hard one, but I had better put it off as much as I can. After all, I always did things this way. Yeah, look how good your life's been so far. Trying not to fall asleep on my feet, I somehow made it to the wash basin. Sorry, drinking. The cold water knocked some sense into me. Maybe I should pay Slavya a visit? I still have some time left. Just to tell her I'm sorry. On the other hand, why should I justify myself? It was her idea. And what? What did I do wrong? Besides, what? I don't know what that is. But once something getting myself... Oh, again, it's a typo. Okay. But once again, getting myself into a silly situation where all the odds are against me. I took a deep breath and went back to Olga's cabin with a firm intention of proving myself innocent, or at least showing that I will stand my ground. That's what I would do. I would tell her the truth, and whatever she said, she didn't have to believe it. That's what I would do. I'd tell her exactly what happened, and I would not, apologize for it. That's what I would do. But the room was empty. I sat in the bed and dropped my face into my hands. I need to come up with an excuse. Now. A nice and believable excuse. If she won't believe the truth, well, that's not surprising. If I was her, I wouldn't have believed it either. Nothing worthwhile was coming to me. I was just sitting there, gazing at the sunrise. The door swung silently open, and the camp leader came into the room. Olga, I'd like to explain to you that no need. I looked at her surprised. I understand everything. So you do understand that it wasn't what it looks like? Why? It looks exactly like what it was. I don't want to condemn either you or Slavya. I understand everything. Puberty, hormones, all that kind of stuff. I sighed tiredly and laid my head down in my hands. What do I need to say to make you believe me? Nothing. I said it already. I understand everything. You don't understand a thing, I muttered under my breath. Okay, head over to the lineup. I stood up and dragged myself lazily along with her. But could I at least pay her a visit? Of course not. The camp leader looked at me with such surprise as if my question was completely inappropriate. I've already warned the nurse not to let you in. Well, am I allowed to know how she is at least? Well, it looks like Slavya's actually sick. Ha! Told you! Anyway, I didn't manage to ask how serious it was as we reached the square already. Go and take your place. I took a place next to electronic. So what happened yesterday? He whispered to me. What are you talking about? Well, you suddenly disappeared. Nothing special. Well, telling everything to the entire camp was the last thing I wanted. After all, if even the camp leader got us wrong, then what would the others think? Though I've already started to think that it's not entirely wrong, the entire line... Sorry, I said that too quick. Though I'm starting to think it's not entirely wrong. Okay, there we go. Now it's a separate thought. The entire lineup consisted of a roll call and announcement that the shower room is closed today for repair. Finally, the pioneers ran for breakfast, chatting happily. I miserably followed them. Frankly speaking, I wasn't in the mood for eating at all. Okay, is this all? Okay, still new. After hanging around near the canteen doors for a while, I turned around and headed away. I don't know how it turned out this way, but eventually the infirmary appeared from nowhere in front of me. Looks like my autopilot just kicked in. I stared at the door at a total loss. They won't let me in anyway. What can I do now? I would try anyway. Should I wait for Olga's sentence if it ever comes? Should I wait until everyone in the camp knows? And that's even worse. Wicked glances from everywhere, the alienation. This is what will happen for sure. No, I haven't done anything wrong, but in the enclosed circle of this bizarre society, such behavior would be treated, if not as a sin, then as a serious deviation for sure, and that means that I've already got nothing to lose. I knocked without any hesitation. Good boy! Attaboy! Go ask anyway, see if you can get the hot doc to let you in. Just a moment, I pulled the doorknob, but the door wouldn't open. It's locked? He's like, oh, dang it, they've already prepared. In a few moments, I heard the key turning in the keyhole, and the nurse appeared. Good morning, Pioneer. Hi, I answered confidently. Well, you know you're not allowed in here. Well, I do, but if you'd... Nope, that's not the way things work, she said playfully. A camp leader's order is an order, after all. If you ask me, personally, I don't find anything immoral on your behavior, but, Olga, maybe I can do something? No, you can't. I looked at her angrily, turned around and walked away with theatrical slowness. I don't know what to do next. I just pressed on forward, punching the trees that stood in my way. I recovered from this burst of rage only when my hands were hurting badly and my lips were bitten until they bleed. And the most interesting thing is that all of this unbearable awakening in an unknown pioneer camp has turned into the most trivial life drama. A drama as stupid as my entire existence. Yet again, I did something wrong. I thought something wrong, and they got it all wrong. Fine then, just let everything be. No one was in the canteen. Okay, still new. I sighed in relief and took a place in the farthest corner, hoping nobody would see me. Somehow stuffing my breakfast in, I was about to leave when Miku dashed up to my table. Good morning, Semyon. I kind of overslept today, but can I have a place here to sit next to you? She sat down straight away. Well, I'm kind of leaving already. Is it true that you and Slavya are like that? Well, you know what I'm talking about. She stared at me closely, blinking her eyes. Who told you that? Well, one would expect the rumors to spread fast, but not that fast. I started to slowly go into rage mode. I heard it from Xenia, and she probably heard it from Chizkov, and he heard it from Olga. I don't want you to misunderstand me. It's not my business, but if you don't want to, then don't answer. But it's not a secret. You're right. I don't want to answer. I stood up and quickly headed towards the exit. It was a hot day. This amplified my anger since I don't like the heat. Right now, though, anything could have drove me out of my wits, but I had to make up my mind on how to conduct myself. I didn't want to run into anyone, so I went to the forest where I could think calmly. Having stopped in a glade, I sat on a stump, took a stick, and started to poke at the ground with it. If there's nothing that's up to me, all I can do is simply wait. But, in fact, what can I do? Assault the infirmary? Even if I succeed, what comes next? Try to bring Olga to her senses? Hardly possible. Funnily enough, the whole enigma turned into a simple, everyday situation. It was as if it was happening in my world, there'd be no problems at all. Come on, really, what's the problem? Even if I did sleep with the girl, who cares? Even if I was actually 17, even then, nothing horrible would happen anyway. It would be slightly more awkward, but still tolerable. And now what? I'm not even the master of my fate. Although, was I ever? Is there anything at all that was up to me in my entire life? I feel like at least a portion of it. Anyway, have I ever reached my peak that I was seeking? Or any peak that I was seeking? And now, once I've reached one, I can't hold my ground. Maybe I was just a spectator from the very beginning. My mystical appearance in this camp, all the local residents, all the events that happened to me, all that is just a weird game, and I'm only a pawn. Well, if that is so, I'll still play my role out to the best. Or out to the best I can, whatever, you know what I mean. I got up, headed to the camp, prepared to take no prisoners. The plan wasn't completely finished in my head, but I've made up my mind already. There was no one at the camp leader's cabin. I rummaged through the cabinets, picked up a sleeping bag, my winter clothes, a flashlight, and some other garments I found. I came out and immediately ran into Alyssa. Going for a hike? Yep, for a hike, I reassured her. Well, take care. She gave me a sly smile and went on her way. I hastened my steps to the infirmary. The nurse is a human too in the end, so eventually she'll go to lunch. I hid in the bushes waiting. Haha, no one can stop me. I'm gonna see Bae. The waifu will be seen. Time flew by fast. My thoughts have settled and I had a firm decision. I haven't thought my plan out beyond the first steps. I simply didn't care. The most important thing is that I act the way I think is appropriate, and whatever happens next, let it happen. Take a drink. And try to breathe. Okay. At last, the nurse came out of the infirmary. She looked around and, noticing no danger, locked the infirmary with a key and quickly went towards the canteen. As she went around the corner, I got to the window in a few bounds and started to hectically knock on it. Ah, Slavya, my love, they can't keep you from me forever. Slavya showed up soon. Semyon, what are you doing here? You're not allowed to. How you feeling? I'm fine. But Olga told me to stay here for another day. She told me something completely different. Okay, get out. I said with confidence. What are you talking about? What for? She asked fearfully. Get out now. I'll explain everything later. She looked at me closely for a while, but then opened the window without further argument. Yeah, boy, jailbreak. They can't keep you away from me forever. I helped her to jump down to the ground. Okay, what next? Let's go. I grabbed her hand and made my way to the forest. Slavya stopped a few minutes later. Semyon, just where are we going? What's wrong? Did you think that everything was right? Do you think everything was right the way it was? No, I don't, but it'll be even worse this way. Why? We have a right to act the way we think is correct. Okay, but what will happen next? I haven't thought about it yet. Every step in my plan has gone quite well until now, but I wasn't keen on thinking even one step ahead. Take a look. I opened the bag and showed the things I took from the camp leader's cabin. And? Slavya looked at me inquiringly. I don't know. We'll stay in the forest for a while. Show them that our opinion matters. But that's stupid and childish. Well, if you don't want to. She gave me a lamentable look. I'll do as you say. These words gave me the creeps. As you say. No one ever said anything like that to me. In any case, I think this is the best decision for now. Alright. Yeah, boy, they can't keep us apart. True love will prevail. I laid the sleeping bag on the ground and we sat on it. So, what are we gonna do? I don't know. I've never been so close to utter failure. No, I wasn't questioning my choice, but indeed I had no idea what to do next. What would you suggest? It would be nice to have something to eat. Have you brought anything with you? And that was exactly what I'd forgotten. No, I haven't, I replied slowly. That's fine. We kept sitting in silence. I wonder if they will look for us. Though, even if they do, they're unlikely to succeed. The forest is big enough. But food, by the evening we'll all get hungry too. Okay, stay here. I'll be right back. Where are you going? To get some food. Maybe we should go together? No, I'll be right back. Yeah, I feel like we're going to get in way more trouble. We're already going to be screwed if this goes over, but it just, I think it's so stupid. Like, from a camp leader, I mean, it seems ridiculous for her to, like, literally imprison Slavya in the infirmary, pretending she's still sick so that she can't see me. Like, you're not my mother. You're not Slavya's mother either. Like this dude in game is 17, and I don't know how old Slavya is, but she's probably similar. We're not children. Like, it just seems stupid. Like, you know, I feel like this is completely out of her jurisdiction. I don't think Olga really has any control over this, and I think it's stupid that they're like locking us to keep us apart as if we need punishment. She's not our mother, and I think it's stupid. But whatever. So I think this makes sense. They can't keep us apart. We're old enough. Anyway, I headed back to the camp at a rapid pace, leaving Slavya alone in the glade. I'm absolutely certain she won't go anywhere and will wait for me. I wish I was as certain that I'll remember the way back as well. Even if they haven't started to look for both of us yet, they surely will have found out that Slavya is missing. So I have to move carefully and try not to get noticed. In general, every single pioneer was a threat now. Not only those who knew me, such an obvious kidnapping will surely be known as to everyone in no time. And while getting in the canteen in a few sprints was not hard, I had no idea what to do next. I can't just walk in there like nothing happened. Are you hiding there? I almost jumped out of my skin. Olyana was standing behind me. Getting hungry? She stared at me. Come on, why so quiet? I was tongue-tied for a moment. I couldn't think of an answer. So why have you come? Hang on. Boz, this is actually a decision, and this is kind of a checkpoint in our lives right now. Okay, I want to get something for Slavya. Oh, really? Yeah, really. Okay, I'll be right back. Much to my surprise, Olyana didn't ask any awkward questions. In the blink of an eye, she zipped out of sight through the doors of the canteen. I was wondering whether I should trust her and wait, or I should flee before she returned with backup. However, Olyana interrupted my doubts as quickly as she reappeared in a couple of minutes with a plastic bag in her hands. Here you go. The bag was full of buns and it had a few pairs of kefir in it. But why? Because it's brave and cool. She smiled slyly. Best regards to Slavya. Olyana waved goodbye and ran away. I stood there for some time in confusion, but then went back to the forest. Hey, it was completely unlike Olyana, but frankly speaking, I was thankful to her. In the end, I couldn't get any food by myself during the day without getting myself into trouble. Upon getting back to the glade, I found Slavya sitting on the sleeping bag in the exact same pose. Here, I gave the bag to her. You got it so fast, she said excitedly. Well, I found help. Slavya gave me a questioning look, but I didn't go into details. We ate busily without saying a word. I sighed with satisfaction in the end. Good, really good. Yeah, agreed Slavya. What are we gonna do now? Maybe you have any suggestions? About what? Well, at least about how to deal with the camp leader. I don't know. Are you sure? Yes, I am. I interrupted her. This is an act of protest after all. She must be aware that she can't order me. I stuttered. Order us around. I felt like I've said something stupid. Even if I was indeed Olga's errand boy, Slavya was... You're funny. She gave a cute smile. We could just go and talk with her. But if you want to sit here and wait, I'm fine with it. I tried to talk to her. Are you sure you did it the right way? What is the right way? To be honest, I didn't know the answer. Such awkward talks were always something of an insurmountable task for me. I bet if I knew how to deal with such cases, things would go another way. Of course, since I was afraid and blaming myself, there was no chance to be confident. I don't know. Slavya burst into laughter. What? Nothing. I just feel like a princess who was saved from the evil witch's castle by Prince Charming. I looked at her carefully. While all of this sounded quite romantic, I thought that what Slavya had just said was absolute nonsense. But generally, Olga as an evil witch, it makes some sense. I think that's a little mean, but in this particular case, I actually agree. Yes, the similarity is definitely there. I said it, spelling out every word. And princesses are given no choice in such cases usually. Slavya continued in a cryptic tone. Given no choice? That's impossible. It's me who has no choice here. Just sit and wait until I got my back to reality by some miraculous chance. Does Slavya have anything in common with me? She is a role model pioneer, hardworking and beautiful. She has hundreds, if not thousands, of options. Probably this is the moment I've been dreaming about all my life. Such an unreachable girl as Slavya, not only sitting next to me, speaking and laughing, but completely depending on me. But is it a good or bad thing? It's a very good thing, you idiot. And what should I do? What should I do next? There are more questions than answers. When it's hard enough to make a decision about my own life and take responsibility for my own actions, how could I do that for both of us? Before now, I'd keep myself distant from such problems in the hope of everything resolving on its own without my input. But I couldn't act this way now. And not even because of the fact that heaven only knows where and in what time I was. You know, I could be wrong. Slavya looked at me inquiringly. We won't achieve anything indeed by just sitting here. And not just that, it's stupid and childish, you're right. And what should we do then? Let's go. We got up, I took the sleeping bag, headed to the camp, holding Slavya by the hand. Hey, what a brave guy! I'm so proud of him! Soon we came to the square where Olga was standing as if she was waiting for us. Long time no see, she said angrily. You have something to say to excuse yourself? Pause. Yeah, let's go talk to her, man. We are not children. Alright. What am I, let's see. I have nothing to justify myself for. This is our last dialogue we need to say. I have nothing to justify myself for, I replied calmly. Oh, really? Okay then, so you think all this is normal. Fine. She paused for a few moments, turning to Slavya. Go to your cabin. I understand that you're not the one to blame. Slavya didn't move an inch. She just lowered her eyes and held my hand even more tightly. Slavya, as you can see, she doesn't want to. What did you say to seduce her? Oh my god, I said nothing. I started losing my cool. Why do you think we've done something wrong? We haven't done anything wrong, at all. As if I haven't seen it, she grinned. So what have you seen? She paused but continued a second later in the same tone. I've seen enough. Wow, you are so good at drawing conclusions. Getting a job in the secret police? Stop it with your rudeness. I didn't even think of starting it, I said sarcastically. Okay, your time is up, and I'm not willing to continue this pointless argument. You're grounded till the end of the session. Oh, really? And how are you going to manage that? I will lock you down in your cabin. And what if I object? Olga gave me a surprised look. It was just now that I realized a crowd was gathering around us. I could spot Lena, Alyssa, and Olyana in the crowd. What do you mean by object? Said the camp leader slowly. I mean exactly what I said. But you can't. A true pioneer, well, that means I'm a false one. Olga paused as if she was pulling herself together. You think I can't force you? And how would you do that? I laughed emphatically, ignoring the various mystical forces that I was the least concerned about right now. The camp leader indeed had absolutely no idea about enforcing anything. You know what? What? It looked like Olga already understood that she had lost, but still couldn't admit her defeat because of her pride and her position of eldest and wisest in the whole camp. Komsomol was a youth division of Communist Party. Young people who failed to join it generally were treated as outcasts of society. I'll send a report to your school. You won't be accepted to the Komsomol. You won't be able to join the party. I had no idea to respond to such serious threats. Accept it. You have no choice anyway. Slavya, who had kept silent until now, intervened. Olga, why do you assume you're right from the start? Why is Semyon always to blame for everything? What's so special? What is so special about what has happened? What have we done wrong? Are you even sure of what you are blaming us for? And if it was anyone other than me standing here, would you act the same way? Slavya, you should know that that's the point. I know everything. I know you. I know that Semyon hasn't done anything wrong. I know you are prejudiced against him, without any clear reason, by the way, even though he's trying his best. Yeah, it looks awkward at times, but I know he puts all his energy and his heart into it. And you're gonna blame him just because he is the way he is? I was charmed by Slavya's monologue, listening to it I was charmed by Slavya's monologue, listening to it without really getting whether she was praising me, declaring facts, or stating her opinion, which is probably prejudiced. I guess her exact words flew over me. Just the melody of her voice was enough for me. It hypnotized and carried me away from this sick woman and stupid pioneer camp while calming and healing the wounds in my soul. Okay, I don't know what to do with you anymore. Olga calmed down a bit, but don't think I approve of your behavior. She turned away, slicing through the crowd and headed to her cabin. I expected a storm of applause like in American movies, but crowds started to dissolve quickly as the show came to an end. And Olyana just winked at me slyly. Well, you know, we kinda overdid it. I looked at Slavya, she was smiling. No, not at all. I'll be arguing with her until late at night, and you nailed it right and clear. I wouldn't get the right words like that, even if I had an entire week to think. Oh, come on. What? That's the simple truth, not a trace of lies or flattery. She gazed in my eyes and burst out laughing. I just said the first thing that came to my mind, and that's how it turned out. Your first thought is the right one. That's how the saying goes. I guess it is. I just noticed how we were still holding each other by the hand. After feeling a bit awkward, I tried to pull my hand free, but Slavya didn't let me. This gave me the chills for a second. Where will we go? I had no desire to go back to my cabin. Strictly speaking, I didn't want to stay at the camp at all. What would you say if I suggested we return to the forest? Slavya looked at me with surprise. Well, you know, it's just sometimes. Okay, let's go. I wasn't expecting such a quick response, and I had no idea how to finish my sentence. I was just getting to tell her about a feeling I get sometimes when you want to go somewhere outside of your comfort zone. At least for a while, at least for a couple of hours. I used to do this before quite often, visiting foreign districts or even neighboring cities. New places and sceneries calm my heart and help to realize that the world is not limited to my apartment walls or the daily route to university or to the workplace. And thus there are people who are doing better and or worse than me. So my typical problems are not as bad as they appear to be. I suddenly smiled. You know, a quick thought about that particular thought, that's actually true for someone with lots of like mental illness issues like depression or anxiety. Often is getting out of the house, like you can kind of remind yourself that there is more out there, and it sounds funny if you don't really understand or if you don't know someone or experience it yourself even more accurately. But if you have depression or anxiety, often getting out of the house and that exact thought of reminding yourself that, you know, your world isn't just the four walls you live in or whatever. You know what I mean? It's often super good for your mental health. So that thought particularly was one of my favorites in the game because that's so true, you know? And especially him, that Semyon mostly pisses me off, but there is a few times after my own prejudice can subside a little bit that I can understand that he kind of strikes me as having some mental illness issues himself. That he's so shut in that there's got to be something mentally ill about that thought of wanting to be so confined in your own room. You know what I mean? There's got to be something, you know, mentally ill as far as that direction is concerned. So if I can let my own prejudice get away from that, then it does make you wonder if yeah, I don't know. I think it was a good thought. Anyway, what? Nothing. I just remembered. Never mind, let's go. We headed to the forest, still holding hands. Hey, it's getting so good. Eventually, we came to a glade, probably the one where we sat an hour ago. Or it could be a different one, as I couldn't distinguish one from another. Drink break. Here? Slavya gave me a questioning look. No, let's go further. Okay. After another half hour of wandering through the forest, we came to a small lake. What a nice place. You're right. Slavya smiled enigmatically. Then I suggest we stop here. Nice place. I put the sleeping bag on the ground and sat on it. Slavya did the same. And what are we gonna do? I don't know. It was your idea to go into the forest. Yeah, mine. I had to make a decision once again. While I had absolutely no idea what could we do. We could talk, for example. But about what? Oh, come on. Don't get so anxious, Slavya laughed. I'm not. I can see you are. Well, it's just because it's fine. As you say. I sighed and stared at the ground. Maybe you could tell me about yourself? Well, there's nothing really to talk about. It's impossible that there could be nothing of interest in a person's life at all. How so? I'm an example of that. You just... She hesitated. Could it be that you're not telling me something? Like what? I don't know. Like you're hiding something from me. But why would I? How would I know? You'd know better. Well, I don't... You said it like... How? Not right, Slavya laughed again. I'm not sure that anyone but her would be so calm here. Okay, so what do you want me to talk about? Well, tell me about yourself. Anything interesting that happened in your life? Right now, I was definitely sure that there was nothing interesting in my life at all. Okay, let me think. I made a smart face. When I was a kid, like 5 or 6 years old, there was a small hut near my family's country house. A solid one, made from wooden boards, with a tar paper roof, so it could be used as a bomb shelter in case of war. So one day, I was sitting on top of it with somebody and suddenly fell off. And there were beds of strawberries behind it. And during those split seconds, as I was falling, I thought, that's it, the Grim Reaper has come for me. My entire life flashed through my head, or ran through my head. Life still 6 years young and still, but still. So I fell onto those beds and obviously didn't feel anything as there was plenty of soft ground there. So that's the story. Slavya laughed. But that's so silly. I didn't think so at the time. And what about now? I don't know. I guess it is. Fine. Tell me something else. You'd call that silly too. No, I won't. I started thinking again. Also, I once fell into a pond from a bridge and almost drowned. Your stories are all, Slavya said in an annoyed tone. I told you, there isn't much to talk about, so I told you the first story that came to mind. Ah, speaking of which, the lake. Slavya looked at the water. Let's go swimming. I'm not really fond of that. I don't even have anything to swim in. Oh, come on. She gave me a captivating smile. Well, I don't know, really. Of course I was eager to agree, but I still hesitated. Oh, come on. She laughed and ran onto the lake, unbuttoning her shirt on the way. Okay, so obviously, I don't know how this is going to end up, but I'm willing to bet there might be some editing coming very soon. So first, let's give it a pause. Or a save event. Alright, let's go. Let's see if I have to edit this out or if we can show it. Let's go! Well, I stood up from the sleeping bag and slowly headed her way. You know, I actually think that's covered enough. I think I could show that. I think we got lucky. When I came closer, Slavya was already splashing in the lake with all her clothes left lying around. Come here. Well, I'm not sure if I want to, I mumbled slowly. Come on, it's fun in here. She didn't seem to feel awkward about my presence at all. Well, I wanted to turn away at first. But here's the question, which is more appropriate here? If Slavya thinks it's okay and I act awkwardly, won't it offend her? But that isn't the most important thing right now. I didn't bring any swimming trunks. I guess that wasn't the most suitable excuse at the moment. So, neither did I, Slavya said with a voice a level quieter. Don't be afraid. I'm not. There's nothing to be afraid of. So get in. I didn't know what to say. I probably wanted to comply, but with everything happening some other way. Not in such spontaneous and random manner. And really, why is Slavya so friendly to me? Or is it something more to it than that? Then I really don't get it. It's up to you, she said disappointedly. Light the fire then. What for? Because when I'll get out, I'll need a way to dry myself. Oh yeah, fine. I quickly ran back to the sleeping bag, picking up branches on the way. Collecting firewood wasn't a problem at all, but how do I light a fire? I had neither a matchbox nor a lighter. Like every educated person, I know that it's possible to do it by rubbing one stick against another, but I've never done this before. So it turns out, I'm a fan of like, I like watching like documentaries and learning about things, and I'm a nerd that way. About certain things. I don't just like learning in general. It depends on what it's about. But something that I do get a kick out of is one of my favorite shows is Survivor Man, if you guys have seen that show. And I've seen lots of stuff similar to that. And it turns out the whole rubbing one stick against another to start a fire, although possible, is incredibly difficult. Even for someone that's good and knows about survival stuff. It's actually really hard. Believe it or not, it's actually really hard. More than just rubbing the stick, because it's all about friction. And you have to get the friction so high that it lights on fire. And it takes forever. It's really hard. Anyway. Well, I had no other ideas. I started to drill one stick into another slowly. I was lucky that sticks were dry enough because otherwise I'd have no chance at all. Actually, I was quite skeptical about my chances, but after just another minute, some smoke appeared and a faint fire flared up, dying out a moment later. Okay, even that is such a load. There's no way that would have been that easy, but whatever. At least it was clear that I could handle this way of starting a fire. It took me another 20 minutes of suffering, but in the end, I had a small fire burning next to the sleeping bag. There you go, at least that's closer to accurate. I was throwing more sticks into it lazily. This is how it turns out. Man can adapt to anything, and so could I probably even survive in a snowy forest. My survivalist thoughts were interrupted when Slavya, who suddenly appeared right above me, again waiting for possible editing. Wow, you're good. I lifted my gaze and quickly turned away. She was wearing a shirt, but thanks to the dampness, it wasn't hiding much. It wasn't a problem in the lake, but it's quite different than when she's so close. One wouldn't get lost with you. Alright, we're good. Slavya sat with her back against mine. I hope it'll dry off quickly. Somehow I was hoping so too. So what? What? I asked with a muddled voice. Tell me something else. I don't know really. I felt like something was stuck in my throat. Storytelling was definitely out of the question. You've gotten so stiff suddenly. Really? Why would I? It's nothing. Just, I had a feeling that I won't be able to just sit like that any longer. Animal instincts were clouding my mind. You think this is normal? What? Sitting like this? What's wrong with it? Seems like Slavya really didn't understand. Well, do you really not get it? I sighed helplessly. Well, I'm not really sure. Her voice sounded cunning. What do you think? Well, or maybe we shouldn't head back? Her words flashed through my head. She's giving her consent. Alright, so, definitely can't show that. Anyway, so yeah, suffice it to say, definite editing going on here. This might not even be the last of it, but we'll see. Something wonderful happened between us, something that I couldn't even dream of 6 days ago. Maybe here it is, the reason for me being in this camp. That was amazing. Yeah. For a while, we just laid close to each other. I'm getting chilly. It's getting chilly. Hang on. I unfolded the sleeping bag and we got inside together. Slavya rested her head on my shoulder. Mind if I take a quick nap? I just feel so tired. Sure, go ahead. Soon her breathing became deep and steady. The wind quietly rustled the leaves on the trees around us, the grass was swaying next to us, and the tiny bugs buzzed annoyingly overhead. Suddenly I realized this was the best place I could have ever been in my life. Thinking that, I fell asleep. Like I said, can't show that. But, at first I was like, wait a minute, I think we're okay. And then, like, half a second later, I was like, nope, we are not okay. It's fine, though. I expected that, so it's no big deal. I opened my eyes and saw the top of an oak roaring above. A strong wind had arisen, chilling me to the bone. The full moon was staring right at me. Night had fallen. I couldn't really tell what time it was, but it didn't matter much. Slavya was still asleep. I tucked the sleeping bag around her cozily, getting dressed, and headed to the lake. I was really thirsty, and there wasn't any other options available. Besides, I didn't think the water here is poisonous. We're not around Chernobyl or anything. At least I want to believe that. I scooped up some water and eagerly dipped my face into my hands. The water tasted so good that I felt like it came from a spring or a lake. My reflection stared at me, blurred in the water and torched by the moonlight. Fun fact about drinking water, though. Any water that's not moving, even if it looks clean, can actually have a lot of, like organisms and disgusting stuff in it, and like parasites and things. And so if the water's like moving like a stream, comparatively that's safe. That's much safer to drink. But if it's stagnant, even if it's a crystal clear lake, it still could totally have things in it. So just as a survival tip, again, I like watching survival shows. Anyway, my reflection stared at me, blurred in the water and touched by the moonlight. It seemed to be smiling. Weird, I didn't even notice. Overjoyed, I headed back, fully intending to sleep till morning. And a twig snapped nearby. I turned to see what made the noise and saw someone behind a tree. Who's there? I called out, worried. There's no need to scream like that. The voice seemed familiar. Oh, Lena. Oh dear. Oh dear. I can explain. We and Slavy were just. We're all right. We're dating. It's fine. I came closer and saw Lena. What are you doing here? Taking a walk? At this time? What, I can't? No, it's just strange. I leaned against a tree and pondered. She's definitely out here for a reason. Besides, we barely made it here. You can't reach this lake on a walk. And even at night, Slavia sleeping a dozen steps away was in clear view. And what? Were you gonna say something? Am I supposed to? Up to you. I don't get what you're saying. Okay. Been here for a while? Well, not that long. How long is that? Not long. Lena snapped. All right. Is that all? I don't know. We stood silently a while longer. You should probably get back. Slavia will get cold. So you saw. It was hard not to see. If you think that, well, what am I supposed to think, huh? Seems as clear as day, I guess. So you're not going to say anything? What is there to say? After your show at the square today, words don't seem to be needed. There was no show. It's not like I'm justifying myself to her. It's none of your business anyway. Exactly. It's your business. Just be careful. Watch out. What are you talking about? If everything comes to you so easily, you probably won't value it much. Though you should. I don't get it. Well, like Slavia. Bam. This time is magical. And then you do it another time, and another, and then you get tired of it. Maybe. Lena paused. That's what I'm saying. You need to cherish what you have, even if you don't put much effort into getting it. If you think I'm treating this like a game, you are totally wrong. I don't think that, but it's possible. Besides, how about staying out of things that are none of your business? I'm just giving you advice. I don't remember asking for it. I think you should pay more attention to what you're doing and planning to do, and so you don't feel any torturing regrets later on. Look, this is starting to sound like a threat. Huh, it really is. Well, maybe so, Lena said mysteriously. So you... No, not at all. Not now, to be precise, she added in a whisper. Lena turned and headed into the depths of the forest. That was freaking weird. I didn't stop her. When she was almost gone from sight, I noticed something in her hand, blinking in the moonlight. What a strange girl. I sighed and returned to Slavia. The warmth of her body kept me from the cold of the night. I hope I was keeping Slavia warm as well. So, I think, I don't know necessarily exactly what she was talking about. Hey, look, Slavia. Anyway, but I have a theory. I think what she was saying is, don't just mess around with Slavia and then leave. Okay, we are back. So I probably had to cut myself off mid-sentence. I don't know how quickly that editing is going to be, but I had to edit it again. We were both in the sleeping bag. We got up. So you can picture what happened. Basically, so our dude was thinking of what so some dialogue happened. Slavia woke up and she kissed me. Semyon was like having these deep appreciation of nature and love and tenderness and super grateful that any of this is happening to him and all this stuff. So super wholesome. It was great. But anyway, I think and again, it's only a theory. I think what Lena was getting at was she's like, don't mess around with Slavia and then be done with it. I think that's what she was getting at. I think her purpose was saying actually cherish her, actually care. And then I think Semyon wasn't totally getting it, but he kind of was like a little bit. He was probably kind of thinking like, I'm not messing around with her. Like, I really do care about her. I think that's what she was getting at, but it could have more meanings. I don't know. Anyway, so one thing these two mentioned, they're starving and we're going to go to the canteen. So here we are. Anyway, we got our things and walked to the camp holding hands. The canteen was indeed open, and strangely, we were its first visitors. It wasn't a surprise that breakfast wasn't all that luxurious: oatmeal, 2 eggs, dry bread, and watery tea. You know, I never liked the local food. Me either, to tell you the truth. Slavya laughed. But there's no choice, and it's quite good on an empty stomach. That's right. Unlike me, she was eating carefully, and I was dropping porridge on my shirt and spilling tea all over myself as usual. Do you always eat like this? Anything wrong with that? I asked with a full mouth. She just laughed. Oh, no, not always, but it happens when I'm really hungry. Of course, I can be more civilized. Well, I can try at least. No worries, it's nothing. Soon we finished breakfast and went to the exit. No sooner had I noticed that we were still the only people in the canteen than Olga appeared on the threshold. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's gonna be even more awkward because obviously I didn't come home last night. Oh, it's you. Well, I won't ask where you spent the night. So, is it... The camp leader was obviously embarrassed. Good morning to you too, Olga, Slavya said with a bright smile. Yeah, morning. Morning. Okay, just don't forget to pack your things. We won't. What does she mean? Some hike again? I asked Slavya when we left the canteen. No, today's the last day. Have you forgotten? Last day of what? Last day of the term. To say that her words struck me as dumb was an understatement. How? Why? Why so surprised? Didn't you know his announcement in the lineup? But even at those lineups which I attended, I was just sleeping on my feet. No? Well, now you know, Slavya smiled naturally. And what should I do? Her words stirred a massive emotions inside me. On one hand, I'll get out of this cursed camp at last. I might get some answers. On the other, I just found something very important to me, and now I have to let it go? What do you mean? Nothing. And when is the departure? In the evening, 5 or 6 o'clock. Well, still a lot of time. Yeah, but I have some things to do. And I should find Xenia. She might be worried since I was absent for the whole night. Oh, well, worrying is so much like her. See you at lunch. Slavya gave me a kiss on the cheek and ran away. I kept staring at the canteen's entrance. I had absolutely nothing to do, nothing to pack, so the only thing to do was to wander around the camp till evening and think. I would give, like Winnie the Pooh, I would give anything to be able to empty my head for this 10 hours. A voice pulled me out of my trance. Hello. Okay, is this new? Okay, yep, this is still new. Electronic stood before me as merry as usual. You too, I replied absent-minded. You know, the whole camp is talking about you. I guess I know why. So, you did it already? He asked, giggling. Do you really think that concerns you? Well, no, then keep quiet. Yeah, as usual, Semyon is not a friendly guy. Leaving him alone with his speculations, I walked to the square. Why does he behave in that way that drives everyone mad? Although it's probably just me he maddens. Yes, it is. You're the only one that cares. Alright, okay, still new. I was completely immersed in my thoughts, not looking around, and didn't notice Miku until she bumped into me. Oh, sorry, should be more careful. Lost in thought and didn't notice you. You know how it happens. Oh, and hi. I looked through her and kept walking. Oh, Semyon, wait a second. What's up with Slavya? Tell me, it's so interesting. It seems that everyone in the whole camp except me knows about it. No, not that I'm curious, but since everything is also serious, saying that she is not curious is like denying a universal truth. Nothing special, I answered without turning back. Well, if you don't want to. I tried to isolate myself from the outside irritation, so Miku's other words passed by. Yep, we're mean as usual. The square scenery was soon replaced by the beach. Luckily, the juvenile gem of the Soviet pop scene wasn't around. I took a place on the sand and started gazing at the river. Why on earth is the whole camp so interested in my relationship with Slavya? In my world, nobody would have said a word. At least not out loud. At least you didn't hear the things they say behind your back. But now I was ready to endure gossip, just as long as I don't have to report to everyone about my private life. The sun was rising higher and higher, and I was nodding off. My eyes were already closed when I suddenly heard someone sitting down next to me. It was Alyssa. Congratulations. Meaning, don't you know? Yeah, it doesn't take an Einstein to work it out. To be honest, I am sick and tired of this. Everyone here just has to mention it. Enough. And what did you expect? It's out of the ordinary for the camp. I would even say it's exceptional. She laughed. And to show up the camp leader just like that, even Olyana couldn't manage it. Me either, probably. I didn't know how to respond to that, or whether it was a compliment or mockery. It's definitely a compliment. It's Alyssa. She's like super psyched that someone stuck it to the camp leader. You know, you're making too big a deal out of it. There was nothing unusual for me. Moreover, I don't understand why you have to poke your nose into my life. Don't you think it's just my personal business and no one else's? Maybe so, Alyssa said mysteriously. We sat silently for a while. I wanted her to leave as soon as possible, but Alyssa was watching the pioneers on the beach, and it didn't seem that she was planning to go anywhere. So, what are you planning to do next? What are you talking about? Today's the last day. Yeah, so what? Everyone will leave, so? And Slavya will leave too. And you'll leave too, so? You'll break up. I know that already, thank you. Obviously. And what do you think about that? What should I think? I can't stay here forever. Of course you can't. But what, will you let her go just like that? No. I mean, what can I do? Frankly speaking, I really had no idea what to do next. My head was a complete mess. I'll be able to get out of here. That was the most important thing to me during last week. And now I have to answer a much more difficult question. How did summer romances end for common Soviet teenagers? And my romance was a summer one for sure. They just went home and that was it. They could live thousands of kilometers away from each other. In my case, in different worlds. It's not like one can come up with a decent solution for such a problem in a couple of hours. Like I know, it's up for you to decide. Alyssa grinned, stood up, and ran to the river. There was only about half an hour till lunch, so I slowly walked to the canteen. Pioneers still managed to occupy all the free tables, so I was able to choose quite a good place, but to my regret, not my favorite one in the corner. It was just about to start eating when someone abruptly pulled out a chair to the table next to me and took a seat. Hi there, how are you? It was Ulyana. An extraordinarily polite version of her. It was fine until now, I sneered. Oh, come on, better tell me. What are you gonna do? Eat. Eat, I sighed. I'm not talking about that. The session's over. You and Slavya are gonna part, and Slavya are gonna part. What's next? It's not like my future is the priority issue for all the local residents. Dude, when something exciting happens and rocks the boat, for like, especially teenagers are really, really into learning all this inside stuff. For them, it's very exciting. And especially in a place like this where nothing exciting is happening, this is incredibly exciting. So, like, of course everyone's poking at you, because it's the most interesting that's happened in a long time, obviously. Anyway. Hey, what really is the matter? Just curious. Curious about what? I don't ask what you're gonna do tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, or in a month. Why do you have to get into someone else's life? I'm not getting into anything, Ulyana said, offended. I'm not really good at all that stuff. True enough, you're still a kid. So you've got to explain, since you're the adult here. What should I explain? So you're gonna stay in touch through letters, right? And then you're gonna go to the camp next summer together. Talking through letters. It sounds so wild to me. And I don't mean the idea of paper sheets and envelopes. I mean the possibility of losing Slavya for a year, or probably even longer. Forever. So what? May I join you? I raised my eyes and saw Slavya standing near me with a food tray. Okay, time to go. Ulyana jumped and dashed off to a far corner of the canteen. What were you talking about? You know her. What could we possibly be talking about? Slavya smiled. Took care of your business? Yep, now I'm completely free. I can help you pack your stuff. It's not like I've got much to pack. Well, then you can help me with my stuff. Sure. That was the perfect opportunity for a quiet talk with her. Although I had not the slightest idea of what I should talk about. Soon enough, we finished our meal and headed to Slavya's cabin. Everything in it was clean and neat, unlike in Olga's cabin. Oh, I'm not sure what I should start with. She took out her travel bag and started to rummage through a cabinet. Meanwhile, I sat on the bed and started to gather my thoughts. You have any plans for after the camp? What are you gonna do? Well, you know. She raised her eyes to mine and gave me a smile. I'll go back to school. Yeah. And you? What about me? It's not like I'm really considering going to high school for a second time. Me? Well, me too, I guess. Although I don't really feel like going back to my city. Seriously speaking, even if I like going back, I had nowhere to go anyway. Why? Just because there's nothing to do there. Nothing at all, and there's no one waiting for me there. But your parents? My parents, well, you know, they're not there now. But where are they then? They're sort of working abroad. Oh, so you're one lucky guy, she smiled merrily. Why? They send you foreign stuff and all. I wouldn't call my situation lucky as such. Well, anyway. Don't be upset. She really looks like she doesn't understand what I'm saying. I'm not upset about it, and it was true. Then what's up? Many things. For example, I was about to begin a vast outburst about my situation and my wish not to have to part with Slavya when the door was flung open with a bang and Xenia entered. Ah, there you are. Yes, we're packing. I see. It's a good thing I didn't come 10 minutes later or I would have disturbed your packing. Slavya blushed and kept on stuffing her things into the bag anxiously. What's up, heroic lover boy? That form of address gave me the creeps. What? Nothing. She stared at me intently for some time. Watch it. Now more than just yourself depends on your choices. I didn't reply with those words, Xenia left the cabin. That's what I meant. What'd she mean? I think you can never know for sure. And yet, well, I wanted to talk about it myself. I was able to start, but then... About what? Slavya looked at me carefully. It's just, today we're leaving, right? Right. And we'll move back to our cities. Well, yeah. And then when will I see you again? Slavya grew thoughtful. I don't know. And I don't know either. But you could write me letters. She smiled, but her smile didn't bring me peace of mind. Yes, of course, but you know that's not the same. What is it then? Can I go with you? I decided to take a chance and speak plainly. And what will you do there? Slavya seemed to not be surprised, but a little vexed. Studying, my parents, and what will people say? I didn't think about the opinions of other people. And to be honest, they didn't worry me much. Well, we can always find a way. What way? We'll think of something. Semyon, we're too young for this. In fact, I'm not. So what? Maybe after some time. How much time do you need? A year? 2 years? 5? You say it as if... I don't know. She seemed confused. So everything that happened here was just a holiday romance? I started getting angry. No, of course not. It's just... What? I'm not ready to discuss it right now. We'll talk about it later. When later? We only have a couple of hours left till our departure. Slavya said nothing and continued to pack her things. I'd expected almost any kind of reaction from her, but not this. In fact, she just pushed me away. It turns out she doesn't need to continue our relationship, so I'm not that important to her. You think it's only complicated for you? It seems to me that it's hard for you too, but for some reason you don't think so. And what if I told you that I don't have a place to go back to? That since last Monday there is no more life for me and I have to start from scratch? I don't know. That doesn't sound very reasonable. And it shouldn't, but it's true. And then what? Please explain. I came to this camp by accident. Actually, I'm from another time, perhaps from another world, from the beginning of the 21st century, and I'm older than I seem. I don't really know how I got here. Slavya stared at me but said nothing. The moments dragged on endlessly. I can't believe he just said it like that! I waited for her to laugh at me, to call me sick, or something even worse. And why are you telling me all this? She finally asked quietly. I want you to understand my situation. But it just sounds stupid. Of course, if I were you, I would react the same way. And what do you expect from me? I don't know. I just felt that I needed to confess. I'm not saying that you're lying, and I don't think you're crazy, but you have to understand I can't just accept it. Yeah, I understand. I just thought that it would help you to understand my situation and my motivations for my actions. It didn't, to be honest. I sighed in frustration, and my opinion hasn't changed. But you'd be better off. You'd be better off. You need to pack your stuff, or you'll be late. Let's talk later. I wasn't going to argue. If Slavya hasn't changed her mind after my confession, then it's pointless to press on right now. Pause. I need to take a drink. Distressed, I shuffled off to Olga's cabin. The camp leader stood at the doorstep and looked like she was waiting for me. Why are you so gloomy? Did something happen? No, nothing. Just came to pack my things. Oh, come on. Let it out. You might feel better. Well, how do you think I can prove that I'm telling the truth to somebody who doesn't believe me? Are you absolutely sure you're telling the truth? Absolutely. Then perhaps they might need time to consider. Except there's no time left. Then I don't know. She shrugged her shoulders in dismay. Well, it's something at least. I tossed my winter clothing into a bag and headed to the bus stop. If a couple of days ago I'd seen the Icarius standing at the gate of the camp and waiting for pioneers, I would have been the happiest person in this reality. But right now, I wasn't in the mood to rejoice. There was still plenty of time left until the bus departure time. I sat down on the curb and buried my head in my hands. I like how it's curb with a K. That's hardcore. Why so sad? A familiar voice pulled out of my thoughts. Just had a fight with Slavya? You could say that. And what's the reason? She doesn't believe that I'm an alien from the future? I smiled ironically. I wouldn't believe it either, said Lena seriously. And if I were in your shoes, neither would I. It's not a big deal. You'll make up from a quarrel. Yeah, but there's not much time left to what? To make the right choice. After a while, the whole camp assembled together at the bus stop. Everyone's here, began Olga. You're leaving our camp today, and I'd like to tell you something in parting. She was visibly nervous and desperately lost for words. I hope you remember the time you spent here for a lifetime and that you'll reach only pleasant memories about the camp. I also hope that you become at least a little bit better, managed to learn something, and found new friends. Just come back next year. The camp leader turned away. It seems she was trying to hold back her tears. I didn't expect her to get so emotional, although her speech sounded like a complete nonsense to me as usual. Of course, this is where I met Slavya, but now we were going through a tough time, and what'll happen next is absolutely unclear. So I didn't care about whether I'll miss this place and Olga or not. Unlikely. When the pioneer started to get on the bus, I pushed through the crowd to Slavya. Let's sit together. Okay, she said quietly. I even thought that I saw the shadow of a smile on her face. The bus flew across the expanses of a new world. Outside, fields followed forests and then calm rivers and highlands. I felt as familiar with all this as if it was my own homeland. Anyway, the surroundings were the last of my concerns now. I was trying hard to find the right words to start a conversation. We'd just been sitting there, probably for a couple of hours, but all attempts to strike up a conversation had ended with one-word answers. Forget about what I said before. I don't want to make excuses or say that it's not true. It's just now the most important thing to me is you. I understand. She looked at me carefully. Even if sometimes I act the wrong way or talk nonsense, regardless, the main thing for me now is to be with you, and it always will be. I understand that I acted too recklessly and I planned stupid ventures, but we can try to make everything right together, you and me. Slavya was still gazing at me. Do you realize that it'll be difficult, that you can't just run blindly into the dark? Because then there will be so many problems that we won't be able to solve. Yeah, I understand that now, but for you, I am prepared for anything. She didn't say a word, but just kissed me gently and put her head on my shoulder. It definitely meant yes. I didn't want to bother her anymore, let her sleep. The point is that Slavya finally understood me, understood what she means to me. She realized that I'll do anything for her sake. And even if I'm overreacting or deciding too early, she's ready to put me on the right path. The path that we'll walk together. Now that's a happy ending! We're getting our happy ending, kids. It's happening. Night started to claim its rights, and the bus settled down to sleep. At first, I tried to fight it, but is there any use in enduring and wasting my efforts when the future had finally become crystal clear for me? My eyes shut for just a moment. Haha, we're gonna get our happy ending with Slavya. Man, I did not realize that is it gonna be like an ending per video? And we're like so far over time, it's actually disgusting. Alright, there are dreams you don't want to wake up from. It's like one is floating down a warm river towards a place far beyond the horizon, blissfully watching the vain world, hidden behind the clouds. The past is left behind. Its echoes do not tear your soul. And the future is right here, you just have to reach out. It doesn't matter what is waiting you there, the very process of immersing yourself in this fairy world of serenity and happiness is itself much more important. Hang on, drink break. Finally, I finished it. My rockstar wasn't even cold at that point. Anyway, I've always believed that the universe was once in this state, and one day it will return to it again. Our life is just a blink of an eye, just a second in comparison to the universe. The birth and death of stars is a minute, and those of galaxies are hours. But even all of that, all put together, will not even be a day. No one thinks how much to live each specific second, so does it really matter with each drop in a stormy river running beyond the horizon of existence does? I got lost in the metaphor, sorry. I opened my eyes and stretched blissfully. I had no desire to stand up, as it felt like I was in perfect bliss, muffled in a blanket. After all, I didn't have to go anywhere, as usual actually, and I don't have any plans. So why shouldn't I just sleep? I rolled over and stared at the old worn wallpaper covering the carved wall. I wonder how long the last time they renovated this room was. And why does this have wallpaper instead of bare wood anyway? Vague warning bells began ringing somewhere deep in my mind. I threw the blanket away, jumped up, and furiously began to look around. Yep, I was in my flat again. At first, I was paralyzed. The shock was so strong that my brain was unable to process what was going on. I just stood and gazed on the screen of the monitor on the table opposite me. I couldn't think. I even forgot to breathe. Finally, my mind began to clear. What happened anyway? I fell asleep on the bus going to the district center. Yeah, something like that. And Slavya was sitting by my side. And now I'm back here. It seems like during the last week I spent there at the camp, I'd gotten so used to the fact that I'd never returned to my previous life that now I just seem to have no idea how to react to all this. After all, at first my main wish was to go home, but in the end everything was like a bad movie. At last I had come back, but I'm still shocked. No, I felt no fear. I was rather interested and upset. After all, I'd already made up my mind to start up a new life with Slavya, leaving all my problems behind. Insults, suffering, self-examination, unfinished affairs, and plans for the future. Obviously, that life could not have been worse than this one at least. But there's no returning to it now. On the other hand, if someone had told me a week ago that I'd be into a different world just like that, in the blink of an eye, I wouldn't have believed him. But that makes such a fantastic event, again, so impossible. Moving my legs with difficulty, I went to the kitchen, got a glass of water, and returned to the room. The ice-cold liquid with a disgusting aftertaste of bleaching powder revived me to some degree. Now I have to decide what to do next. Suddenly I realized that I could not bear the silence. After turning the computer on, I launched a random song in the player and managed to calm down somewhat. And seriously speaking, what can I do? Recently I realized that absolutely nothing is up to me. But by someone's will, I was pulled out of my usual world and then sent back. No answers were found during the week at the camp. What's the point of speculating now? I must forget everything that happened, like a bad dream. Maybe those were just hallucinations. I don't really care now. The only thing that prevented me from completely forgetting this short period of my life was Slavya. I recalled her smile and all the time we spent together, from the meeting on the very first day to the night in the forest and our departure from the camp. My heart furiously jumped into my chest, spreading oppressive pain all throughout my body. I liked her at first sight. So gentle, caring, understanding. Just like that anime heroine. What was her name? The one that helped her, an antisocial fellow like me, deal with depression. I wonder if he's referring to Welcome to the NHK, I believe is the name of that anime. It's on my watch list. And if you think about it, there are no such people in real life. Slavya asked nothing in return, needed no encouragement, never expected to be understood or praised for her work. She was just being herself, a girl that cannot exist in real life. If you think clearly, that's really exactly what she was. It seems like I've seen one single week-long dream. About the pioneer camp, Soviet teenagers and their camp leader, about warmer summer nights and gatherings around a fire, about lighthearted children's games and simple human joys, about one moment that lasted a week and the everlasting summer. But not just seen. I've been there. I was a part of everything. My eyes unwillingly filled with tears. Not tears of pain or despair, tears of sorrow and bright melancholy. Even if everything is over, I experienced something that most people could never even dream about. Slavya's image flashed in my head, brighter and brighter. I would love so much for her in return from that camp with me. Maybe I have nothing to offer her now, but my entire life is still ahead of me. I guess I learned a lot of useful lessons from those events. I couldn't help thinking that it all seems too perfect, like it was written according to some simple plan. A loser hero, a fantastic incident, and a wonderful transformation. I guess it's not possible. Not in this life. But will I become the person I was before only a day or a week later? Well, it's the most realistic course of events. One thing's for sure, I'll never be able to go back. That better not be the ending. There better be more to this, I swear to God. About a month has passed since I returned from the camp, or to say it more correctly, since I woke up. I returned to my usual life as a loner, surfing the internet for days, going outside only to shop. As expected, it began to suit me again. Well, obviously, such moments of melancholy and depression occurred. A person like me can't just do without them. But they lasted no longer than usual, except those times when, while sleeping, I returned to that summer, that mysterious camp. But after awakening, I tried to banish these thoughts as soon as possible. After all, what's the point in dreaming of becoming a wizard? Even if miracles happen, and I was proof that they do, they happen completely independent of us. The word sweet doesn't give you a sweet taste, regardless of how often you pronounce it. But nevertheless, something has changed in my existence. Formerly, I didn't think ahead, didn't really care how long I would live, whether I 1 week or 40 years, but now I looked forward to it with optimism. Not like I try to change anything or to become a different person, but the world now seemed more understandable. Not simple, not friendly, no, not friendly at all, but just understandable. Before, I just couldn't cope with some events or facts, though I kind of realized that they were there for a reason. Now I started seeing life is something simpler. What happens for the best. Or at least it happens and I can live with it. And if I can't, I'm powerless in that case. I guess I started smiling more often, or at least I didn't carry that look of deep universal frustration 24/7. Even my acquaintances, on the internet obviously, noticed some change in me and their opinions agreed that these changes are good. Now I think I'm ready to live on, thanks to the camp and its inhabitants. Without them, I wouldn't be able... It was the beginning of January. The city had become recovered from the New Year hangover. The streets were almost empty during the day, not to mention the nights, when the only stranger walking down the street it seemed extremely busy with some events, rushing somewhere for a reason that couldn't wait. I had no such reason. I just decided to have a little walk. It's necessary to get some fresh air sometimes. A winter's night is the best time to be alone with yourself. I always thought that true solitude can be felt in a crowd rather than in a burning hot desert, boundless plain, or on top of a mountain covered with snow. In the stream of people, words, thoughts, and aspirations, everyone had their own aim and direction, and I was the only one strolling among them, deserving no attention from others. Maybe they're like vectors, moving in different directions. They never meet at Cartesian coordinates? It's the same thing here. These people are walking, running in one direction, and I'm dragging along in the other. But did I feel lonely? Before? Yeah, but now, highly unlikely. In the bright, blinding lights of the city, the noise of cars and the twirling crowds, I enjoyed a heavenly symphony of silence. And now the situation is slightly different. There is just me in the street, so I'm alone not only within my own self, but within the whole world. Being a sand grain in a desert is not the same thing as being a water drop in the ocean. In the crowd, no one notices me. No one paid any attention, but now everyone who peeks out the window or sees me while driving past will think, why can't he just stay home? Maybe he has some urgent matter? Suppose he's mad. Is he just drunk? I never like standing out from the crowd when it is not appropriate, so opposing society was never an option for me. But now it was different. As if I tried to tell everybody, look, I can be happy too. You need your TV and your hot chocolate, but I just need the snow, the night, and a dark room, and a dull monitor screen. Look, I'm not any worse off than you. I felt sadness in my heart, but it was a serene sadness. Do I really need the things that they have and I do not? Maybe I have something much more valuable. I didn't notice how I came to the bus stop of the 410 route. This brings back memories. I sat down and rummaged in my pockets trying to find cigarettes. However, the packet was empty. Fine. I crumpled it up and threw it into the bin. Maybe I'll get healthier. A lonely star was shining in the sky. Today, I read on the internet that according to the calculations of scientists, one of the most beautiful astronomical events has already ceased to exist and we'll see it only decades later. Maybe this star has already exploded as well, and now it is only a beautiful image in the night sky, somewhere near a lost planet on the edge of the galaxy. However, why does one or another thing exist? Is it simply because it's not there, has shape and can be touched? Or is it because we believe that it exists? At first, I thought the answer was simple, but on the other hand, even if this star is gone and we can still see its cold light, maybe it helped someone to get out of the snowy winter forest, gave someone hope, or is a bit of warmth to someone else. Could a simple astronomical event that exploded God knows when do all this? Can billions of people believe in something that doesn't really exist? Can belief itself never made an object real? At least none that I've ever heard of. Dude, you're going so deep you're losing me. The snowfall grew stronger. Now it was a real snowstorm. Midnight. I was about to leave, but suddenly someone emerged from the solid white veil and ran under the bus stop roof. It was clearly a girl, as she had a long ponytail hanging out of her hood. Oh, please turn around and be Slavya. She stood with her back to me, so I couldn't make out her face. Excuse me, has the last bus already left? She asked without turning to me. Where could she be heading so late? The 410 must be the most cursed route in the city. Not only does it sometimes take people away to another reality, but it can't even arrive when you want it to. There's one more bus coming, just after midnight, I think. Thank you. The smile was clear in her voice. For some time, I just sat silently, examining the girl. Finally, she spoke. Where you going so late? Is it really that interesting for her? Just having a walk, I answered thoughtfully. And you? Are you here for something important? Well, not really. Just going home. Where do you live? I couldn't help asking. Far away, she said vaguely. And I live nearby. It's a good area. I would say there couldn't be a worse one. Didn't have too many options. You don't like it? Don't know. I got used to it by now. I think that people can be happy anywhere they want. Perhaps. Well, think of it. People can live even at the North Pole, in stations, I mean. And in the Sahara Desert, and in many other places. It's the people themselves that are the most important. It's difficult to disagree with you. My comment sounded so philosophical that I unconsciously smiled. You don't sound too honest to me. Now, why would you say that, madam? She laughed quietly. I think you're a good person. Now she turned, and Slavya. I realized why her voice, stature, and everything else seemed familiar to me. Slavya stood in front of me, and for a moment I lost the ability to speak, but just for a moment. Of course, it could just be a girl who looks like Slavya from my dream, or in my experience in the strongest deja vu. This city is not a pioneer camp, and I'm not wearing a uniform, and it's not summer now. Trying to convince myself that it's just an illusion, I decided to ask a question. Have we met before? She carefully inspected me and smiled. I don't think so, but your face seems familiar. Have you ever been to a pioneer camp as a kid? Of course not, she smiled. When I was born, they'd already been disbanded. Oh, right. Although, I had a dream recently. She thought for a second. Me too. I mean about the pioneer camp. Maybe that's where we met, the girl said seriously. Possibly. By the way, my name's Slavya. Actually, my full name is Slavana, but everyone calls me Slavya. You can do that too. I was about to tell her that I know, but then I stopped short. After all, it's just important to know why Slavya from my dream is standing right here, right now in front of me at this frozen stop at the charmed bus number 410. After all, there are dreams that you don't want to wake up from, and mine is Semyon. What a lovely name. Starts with an S too. Yeah. So, you live far away, don't you? Well, not really. She named the district. I thought it would be somewhere in the south. Why? Don't know. Maybe because you look like a pioneer. Ah, you and your pioneers, Slavya laughed. Maybe we would never have met if not for them. Why? Her expression became serious. Just a joke. Listen, do you agree that the world exists because we believe in it? That's like some kind of subjective idealism. Slavya thought for a bit. This school of philosophy became close to me recently. Well, I don't know. I'm not that good with these subjects. What are your subjects then? She smiled. Different ones, no doubt. But it's just a few minutes since we met. It seems like it's been much longer. For some reason, I've got the same feeling. An awkward pause followed. The snowfall has eased, but there was still no bus. I looked at my watch and assumed that it wouldn't arrive at all. Slavya seemed to feel even colder by now, as her cheeks grew more red and her cheeks were now moving frantically, trying to warm her body. Seems like the 410 is done for today, I guess, she said sadly. If you want, I started after pulling myself together. What? You could stay at my place. But we've just met, she laughed. She didn't seem frightened even a tiny bit. Yeah, I understand, but it's so cold outside. Aren't you afraid? Slavya looked at me playfully. Me? Why should I be? Who knows? Who knows? I just suggested it. Don't think anything of that sort. I started to make excuses. I understand. She laughed. If you don't mind, of course. Even though it seemed impossible, she flushed even more. Shall we go? Let's wait a bit longer. Maybe it will arrive. Okay. So, what do you do in your spare time? Slavya asks after a while. Well, I work at home, kinda. I just couldn't tell her that I do nothing. Sounds good. Why? I don't know. You have a lot of free time. You don't have to go anywhere and so on. And you? I asked, trying to change the subject somehow. I'm studying, getting an ethnographer's degree. What is that? Slavya asked seriously. Never mind. I'll be an ecologist. Is that how you say that? Well, a career to be proud of. We chatted about random things, and the bus was still nowhere to be seen. It was past 1 already. The time passed by so fast. I guess Slavya understood my thoughts. Shall we go? She smiled. I stood up and headed slowly towards my house. She carefully held onto my arm and looked into my eyes. You know, I'm sure that this year will be better than the previous one. Now that's an ending. Yeah. Yeah. I like how they have like the Xbox achievement basically. Every story has a Slavya Good End. Every story has a beginning and an end, but every story has its own outline synopsis. All right, none of that's new. And here we are, everybody. Here we are. All right. See, now that's an ending. It all came back around. See, so that's awesome. So it came back around. We got the good ending. At first, I'm like, you better not just have this guy be Zen because of what he learned or something. Like, you better actually give me the good ending. And we got it, darn it. That was awesome. I'm so happy that we got that. That was great. So yeah, that is awesome. We got our good ending. It was good. I'm happy that they found each other in the real world, you know? That they found each other anyway. They still got their good ending, and even better, they both remembered the time in the summer camp. So even though they were both on the opinion it was a dream, more or less, like, but they immediately grew close because they both knew. You know what I mean? And it was just so good. It was great. I was really happy about that. I liked that. Fantastic. Yep. That is definitely a good ending. So obviously this video is a long video. I didn't intend for this to be the main video for the day. But yeah, that was our good ending. There was a lot more dialogue than I thought there was going to be. I didn't realize this would be a full part. You know what I mean? Okay. So obviously we're not interested in the Slavya bad ending, obviously. We're not going to get any of the bad endings. I don't want to see a bad ending. I've already gotten one. I mean, 2 if you count the whole Forever Alone thing. Beautiful. Hey, we did it, everybody. All right, so I guess we'll just keep trucking along. We'll get like one ending per part, I guess. You know what I mean? We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. Mostly because obviously, so that was Slavya's good ending. But it's weird. So I don't know how many parts this is going to be because I don't know if every ending is going to have as much dialogue as the Slavya one did. But it's interesting. You know, so we'll still truck along. It would have been hard for me to finish if he had just been zen with himself after the real world came back and everything. If he had just forgotten about her and she just didn't exist anymore, I would have been pissed and I probably would have had a hard time finishing it. But considering that he did see her in the real world, they did obviously immediately have the connection. They both remembered the camp. That's great. That's awesome. So because of that, we will continue with our good endings, and that's awesome. So when we come back, the next part, which I guess we'll just keep going. I thought this would be the I didn't think there'd be that much dialogue. I thought we could just kind of skip through much quicker. And so we would just kind of get all the endings in one video and be done with it, but clearly that's not true. There's lots of dialogue per ending, apparently. So, anyway. But it's not as long as it would be because we can skip, so it's fine. But anyway, so when we come back, our next part will be the Pickup Guru ending, which is the Alyssa good ending. So that will be our next... That'll be our next aim, and we will see what happens. But regardless, I'm very happy that we got our good ending with Slavya, and we will continue getting our good endings with everybody else. Well, that's freaking weird. Whoa! Oh, look at this! You could just see your endings right here. That's cool. So as you can see, we've gotten Forever Alone, Epic Fail, Comfy Guy, which is Slavya Good, and all that jazz. Anyway, that's cool. I didn't realize that. Anyway, and so yeah, when we come back, Alyssa's Good Ending is on the way. I guess I'm on the fence about what I should do for this episode, because this is an exact same length as a main video. So one of two things should happen. Actually, I guess maybe one of three. The first idea is I could record Saints Row and make it a side game length, so make it about an hour and a half rather than 2.5, which is our main video length, which is going to be this video. So that's our first option. Second option is to only do this video today and be done. Third option is to do something else random that's shorter. I'm not really sure. I'll probably just record Saints Row, and I'll figure out, depending on how interested I am or how well it's going or whatever, I'll figure out what to do inside. I'll probably just record Saints Row, but we will see what happens. Anyway, so when we come back, other than Saints Row, I think Monday should still be normal. I might push it to Tuesday through Saturday again next week, but we'll see what happens. But regardless, my goal is to have 5 days next week. We will see. And we will continue our good endings until we finish this whole thing, man. Anyway, that is going to call for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and we will talk to you guys later.